Go Project Manga. Mighty Morphin Project Manga.
It's manga time.
What's up, everybody? Project Manga is back with episode 29 of the Special Grade Podcast. I'm your host, Nickums.
And I'm Knox.
And tonight we are joined again by the young shonen Snooty. What's up, Snooty?
What's good, guys?
Yes, sir.
Glad to be back
Oh, yeah.
again.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Had to get you back for the other half, man.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course.
Yes,
No, I
sir.
carry this shit now.
Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. All right. But anyway, as you all are probably aware from our previous episodes and just general manga news, Phantom Seer has been canceled, and we are replacing it with Ranger Reject. So
sir.
that's out of Kodansha, written and drawn by Haruba Negi. So, very excited for that. Yeah, going forward, we cover on this podcast Undead Unluck, Kaiju number 8, Shangri-La Frontier, Ranger Reject, and the Elusive Samurai. Check out the video description below for timestamps so you can skip spoilers of series you are not yet current in. Now, before we begin, just want to extend a huge thank you to everyone subscribed to this level of content. This is why we do this, and we cannot thank you enough.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Yeah. And as a reminder for everyone, your subscription includes a special Discord role, giving you access to a private channel in the Project Manga Discord. So go ahead and link your Patreon account to your Discord account, and you can come chat with us in the special grade chat. A little more intimate, cool kids club kind of setting.
Yes.
So if we're all ready, gentlemen, let's get into our chapters tonight. Starting with the Elusive Samurai, chapter 12. Sneaking in 1333, and we start off the chapter with they're trying to convince Genba to like why don't you just become a retainer and then we don't gotta pay you, but you'll get this reward in the future. And I love like the kind of like angel devil like on the shoulders.
Yeah. I love the way this whole chapter started out, just seeing her on his show like, hey, yeah, you could do whatever you want for every year that you're a retainer of the Hojo family. Like, oh yeah, yeah, this is a once in a lifetime deal. Come on, do it. He's just better. Hey,
I love the way that it's represented as like angel on one half, and then like if you put the two pages together, it would be like the whole image. And like, man, I kind of like when I was reading this, I was like, dude, this would be an amazing double spread. Yeah, like just art.
It really would.
Of just Genba with both of them on the shoulder, no dialogue. Like that would be such a sick picture.
That really would be a really nice picture, to be honest.
I kind of forgot that who's the girl talking to him on the left shoulder again?
Ayaka.
Yeah, okay.
I want to say.
I forgot these were characters at first. I thought this was literally just like Genba's actual angel, like talking to him. Sure. And then I like turned the page and saw like this one looks kind of like Kojiro a little bit. Right. And I'm like, oh wait, okay, I see what's going on here. But dude, love this scene though.
Especially like because like her hair is like blonde in the angel form or whatever, like light hair in the angel form, when normally her hair is black or whatever hair. Yeah. So and definitely at first you're like, wait, who?
Yeah, you could see that on the bottom panel too. The black hair comes back.
Yep. And the top panel, but yeah, it's like the same haircut and same like hair piece or whatever. It's definitely her or whatever for sure.
I didn't even notice her right there up next. I was so like drawn into the middle panel that I like didn't even pay attention to the top one really.
No, for sure.
Yeah, you can see in every panel. What's the name of the thief?
Genba.
You can see in each panel he's just sweating. He's just like, what are these guys?
Yeah.
Yo, this is like a really good idea, but I want him to think that it was my idea, not theirs, type shit. You know what I mean? It's kind of how it feels. Plus, he's like actually considering it, like contemplating it seriously. But I could tell that there's just like so much like irritation and anxiety, like it's drawn so well in a character with a mask.
Right.
Dude, I love where this series is at right now, dude. I just want to say that. I wasn't someone who was like really worried about Elusive Samurai. Like there were some people who, have kind of had their criticisms for every chapter, like kind of like going on. But now it seems like across the board, everyone's starting to feel a lot better about Elusive Samurai with these last couple of chapters. You know what I mean? And me specifically, I've always been like really confident in Elusive Samurai. I think all of us have been,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean, for the most part. And now that it's like at this point where it feels like things are really starting to like get really cool and move towards a specific like plot line, it's like it's starting to feel like I just appreciate that setup so much because of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, for sure, definitely. I was going to point out on page 4, we do get her name. It's Shizuku. That's the girl on the left shoulder, right in the first panel.
Ayako is the
tall one, the big one.
Yeah, the big one. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Amazon Wonder Woman.
Yes. Let's see here. I love that Genba's like, all right, rich kid, like at the very least, you're going to come with me on the mission, right? And I love that it's kind of like he expects Tokiyuki to be like afraid and, worried and like, especially going into the enemy base. And he's like excited. He's like, oh, damn. Yeah, this kid's like excited for this. Okay.
And Tokiyuki's always hype whenever like anything happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you could tell that he was brought up the way that he was, and this is obviously a part of his initial characterization, but you could tell that he really yearns for that exciting warrior life, even though he has a particular skill set that might contradict that notion.
Right.
But at every single moment that smoke is on the horizon, Tokiyuki is excited about it. You know what I mean? And what's really cool about this scene is that Genba, as he's trying to kind of frighten Tokiyuki, obviously, and he obviously responds eagerly, he doesn't know that Tokiyuki's skill set aligns with his. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't know that Tokiyuki is built for this. You know what I mean? So he probably thinks that's really cool eventually.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
He will eventually.
He will eventually think it's. I think he's already starting to take a liking to Tokiyuki even in this chapter. He surprised him already a couple of times. You know what I mean? So I'm really excited for future Genba in the story, bro. Like this is really sick right now.
Yeah, I'm really excited for future Genba and Tokiyuki interactions because like you said, they have a really similar skill set and he doesn't know that, so Tokiyuki's clearly just thinking of this as like, oh, advanced hide and seek, let's get it.
Yes, this is training. Yes.
And then Genba's like, what the fuck is wrong with this kid?
Yeah, dude, it's an amazing dynamic, bro. I love it. I love every single moment of it. And oh my god, Tokiyuki's like, we're kind of like jumping ahead a little bit, but Tokiyuki's nighttime gear.
Yo.
Oh no, stay in this the rest of the series, bro.
Like page 11, you get a great side shot of it, like the whole kit.
Super Shinobi-esque.
Yes.
So good. Sorry, I just had to jump forward a little bit and talk about that.
No, for sure.
But
jeez, like what? Let's see here. We get some characterization of Genba or whatever on page 12. In the previous chapter, we get this kind of impression of Genba, like all the villagers are maybe like afraid of him or something, or they want nothing to do with him, right? So they all ran into their huts or whatever. And here we kind of get a little more insight into why, like he views himself as like, everyone's too afraid to cross me, and it's like, no, you're just a gross little shit, you know what I mean? Like pooping. Oh no, he didn't poop. He put cockroaches and pissed in someone's rice and cooked it and then like rubbed his nasty ass body over like all their clean clothes or whatever.
And shit, and then neatly folded them and put them back. Like that's so evil, bro.
Yeah.
But you want to know what excites me about this is that like everything that we're seeing related to Genba's characterization kind of comes from after he's already become a thief. He's already been kind of a piece of shit, quote unquote, for a while. We got like one little glimpse of him as like a small boy when his grandfather or grandmother died or something. But like that didn't tell us like anything about him barely. You know what I mean?
Right.
That was just so that you could kind of have a visual of what his childhood kind of looked like. But now we're kind of getting a little bit more of that fleshed out. And it's just him already in this Genba state. So I feel like his design is amazing. I feel like Matsui has something like really serious in store for this character, like writing wise. I feel like we're going to get an amazing background for him or backstory for him after these little mini backgrounds establishing him as an asshole. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that big backstory is going to slap whenever we get that. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah. And moving into his skill set, I was not expecting like I think you said it last week on Special Great Podcast, Noxy, where he was like, you thought that the old man was Genba and you thought he was a master of disguise, and it turns out he really is. Yeah. Because he's just like clay, and now he looks like what is the name of the archer? Sadamune. God, I'm gonna remember these. Now he looks like Sadamune, and then like once he already just gives him the orders, says like, "Hey, go do this asinine shit that you really don't even need to do." He just immediately turns into Tokiyuki, like, "Hey, I'm a master of disguise. I could always betray you."
Yeah.
It's wild. So I love that page 17, where he's like transformed into Tokiyuki essentially.
Yeah.
Almost looking at him like in a mirror, like, are you really gonna trust me when millions of people have already like double crossed you? You know what I mean? It's like, damn, look, and like right there, like transformed, like I could double cross you. Kind of that double meaning, as you're kind of saying, Schnooty. Like he could double cross him too.
I could double cross you and be you at the same time, and nobody would even think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah, that's so sick. And I love how the explanation is just like applying clay to a fox mask. I can replicate most anyone's face, and it's like, yeah, that's a great explanation, but you're doing it a little bit too quick, buddy. You're throwing the ship, and like that's obviously the suspension of disbelief for the sake of a fictional story. But like that's really cool, because you can play with that, I feel like, only in manga. Like that's like established as something that like you don't need a whole lot of explanation for. Whenever there's sleight of hand, things like that. In the West, it's harder to get away with shit like that, because they actually have real physicists on retainer, and they try to bring their shit as close to, you know, reality as they can, as often as they can. Obviously it's superheroes and shit, so it's going to get wild, but on the ground level they do their best. But in manga, there's a lot more pseudoscience involved, and you can get away with shit like Frankie building steps up to you know, whatever, you know, and there's no platform or whatever, because he's just that cold of a ship, right? Obviously One Piece is more of a comedy, you know what I mean, than this kind of seems to be, but there is a lot of comedic elements in Elusive Samurai too. So for sure. I don't think it's one of those kind of things though. It's just
I know what you mean though. Like in manga generally, there is a wider room for just kind of assuming that someone could be this skillful, right? Like we're not going to show like 10 panels of him like hyper fast, like sculpting some clay mask, and then like you're kind of suspending like, how can he make it move? How can he like make the face talk? You know what I mean? But that is tied into, you can just believe that like he's so good at body language. He's so good at projecting his voice perfectly, playing with the shadows, that like he's able to convince someone that a static face that doesn't actually look that good is actually that guy, because of his charisma is just so high. And so I think there's more room in manga for believing those skills are possible.
Absolutely. You killed that shit. Wow, you fucking said that shit so good.
Well, you queued up the idea. I was like,
that was an alley-oop.
I love this idea.
Yeah, we tagged teamed that. That was awesome. Okay.
But it also shows that like his clay mask, like his transformations aren't perfect, because the guards even say like, what's up with the fox ears?
Yeah, that's right.
Like, it makes me cuter. Isn't it striking? You know what? Yeah, you got it. Okay. Yeah.
I love that.
That was so funny. That really was hilarious.
Yeah. See, it's like perfect amounts of comedy that like do really well for the moment, but don't take away from anything serious for me personally.
Right.
Like what's serious in this manga has its own lane entirely separate from the comedy. They kind of like overlap a little bit, but like for the most part, they're self-contained and they're injected when they need to be, you know what I mean? And it feels really good. The balance of comedy and seriousness, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, dude.
And damn, so we get to the end of the chapter, and they've successfully captured this Imperial command or whatever, and then this dude Ichikawa Sukefusa, he's got the big ears. So we got the big eye guy, and now we got the big ears boy, his buddy, and he's
so
like,
now there's kind of a trend.
I hear something. Yep, exactly.
There's kind of a trend now. So like, what are all of Takauji's retainers just like really skilled in one sense?
Right. I'm sure they will be. Right. I'm sure they will be.
Right. Because like these are things like in times without technology, like this is essentially, you know,
what you'd have to do.
The skills, like these are the kind of skills that, you know, when heightened to superhuman levels, kind of fill in those gaps in lack of technology to a certain degree. You know what I mean? When this motherfucker has literal satellite dishes for ears, you know what I mean? And when a dude has actual telescopes for eyes, you know what I mean, it it makes it feel it helps with the stakes, you know what I mean? Because if you think about a story like this, it's obviously feudal time, whatever. Imagine if all of a sudden the enemy had machine guns in a story like this.
Right.
And you'd be like, oh my God, you would be terrified for the safety of the protagonist. Like, you wouldn't know what to do. It wouldn't make sense, but you'd be like, oh my God, this is where we're going, and I feel like everyone's going to die. And obviously it's not that drastic with this, but it's the same kind of concept as like, these are skills and tools and technology that they don't have in this time. Whereas if like motherfuckers really did have scientific telescopes, if they really did have, you know, satellite UAVs and sonar and shit, they would be like, you know, it would be a way different situation. You know what I mean? So like they kind of represent that heightened or that rise in the stakes, you know what I mean, in their skill set. And man, if we get a motherfucker who can smell everything, you know, I don't know like what, like how the speech is going to be represented, but it's probably going to be a Gen type character. You know what I mean?
Well, see, that's interesting. So now, like, say for example, Demon Slayer, right? Like Kimetsu no Yaiba, this exact trope is used with a lot of like the main characters, where like each of like the 5 main younger characters have like a primary sense that they like really do.
Tanjiro can smell really good.
Yes, Tanjiro can smell really good. Zenitsu can hear.
Really good, Inosuke has like really good feeling. Like he can kind of like sense things around him.
Yeah, that's like the touch.
Yeah.
And Genya, who he's a character that like he shows up pretty early, but he's not really big until later. He actually like is taste. It's not talking. It's taste.
Sure. Oh yeah, so, I think actually that is taste.
Yeah, he can eat a demon and like kind of use its ability kind of thing. So that's how like he uses like the taste or whatever. So anyway, like it'll be it's interesting because like Kimetsu no Yaiba never capitalized on this. They basically just like set it up that way and never had any use of this, like, you know, the fact that they had all these senses being the main things. It's like they were going to use it, but they just never decided to comment on it at all, or never.
They just got it.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you'll probably notice this or whatever. I wonder if in Elusive Samurai, if we will get some exposition, like, do you see what's happening here? You know what I mean? Like, or if it's just going to be another like subtle,
you know,
overarching
that they can
thing.
do this. So then, whenever they're doing anything, you can assume this skill is incorporated inside of it to some degree.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, wow. Obviously, it's taste.
I mean, tongue.
Sure. I guess
it's going to be taste, but you could make it work that it could be speech. You could, I don't know.
Yeah.
If it was speech, I'd be like, fine, whatever, that's fine.
Yeah, whatever.
But that's just cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's cool because like obviously in Demon Slayer, now that you've kind of explained it to me, it sounds like that's a part of the protagonist group.
Yeah.
And that feels good from like the power fantasy side of things. Right. So like when you're trying to escape into a power fantasy, you like when your protagonist can do things that nobody else in the series can do, because it gives them that advantage that makes you feel powerful.
Sure.
Vicariously through the main character or the main protagonist team. But when the fucking villains have then it's like really butt clenchy, you know what I mean?
You could really feel the stakes like in like opposition to the protagonist side, because what are they going to do if you can see, smell, taste everything within like a 30-mile radius, and you guys can't do that? You're just going to have to keep fucking around on dumb luck.
It's as if the villains like are slowly taking away avenues and routes of escape, right? Like, so at the beginning, there's really no villains, and okay, now there's Sadamune, and now you can't be seen. You have to avoid being seen. You have to avoid being noticed. Now they're sneaking around. They're being very quiet. Well, too bad. Even the quietest you can be, this dude's still going to hear you. So you still have to do we're going to eventually do other ways to escape that aren't, catchable by hearing or seeing or whatever.
Yeah, and that's a really amazing angle for Matsui to put in, because it's like, it makes so much sense now that we know it, but he's obviously trying to push the envelope on exactly how elusive Tokiyuki can be inside of this landscape, because like you said, they're taking away all of his areas where his skills give him an advantage. You know what I mean? He's quick, so you probably can't see him too well. Nope, Sadamune's got gigantic eyes. Right. In literally every panel, even when he's not on screen, there's somewhere in there probably. You know what I mean?
Just zipping around everywhere.
Yeah, and then you could just go down the list, like, you know what I mean? Now they can't sneak around, even though they just got this OP ass thief Genba. It's instantly like, nope, you don't get a moment of reprieve. The enemy has a counter for this, and it's like, shit, man. Like, I don't even get to feel comfortable for a moment in this. Like Tokiyuki is always on the back foot, but I think what makes it feel so good and like not as like, you know, down is because of how bright and eager Tokiyuki is, and obviously Morishige is obviously very jovial and very, you know, bouncy, you know what I mean? So it adds that personality to it that makes you feel like, okay, this isn't going to feel like Berserk the entire time or something like that. You know what I mean? There's enough pucks around, you know what I mean, to kind of cut the fat a little bit, or cut the tension rather. Yeah. Wow.
Awesome. Well, do either of you have anything more for this chapter of the Elusive Samurai?
I'm excited that this dude's a swordsman. Because if he heard them, he's probably going to go confront them. Obviously, he has a great plan. He's like, okay, these kids are obviously trying to sneak around. So when you go alert everybody, maybe be quiet about it. You know what I mean? So he's got a good head on his shoulders already. He's not just good ears. He's a great mind as well. And that's scary too. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to see how he fights, obviously. I don't know what this drawing represents behind him on the last page. You want to help me out, Nick?
Radar. Yeah, sonar, rather.
All right, bet.
Yeah,
oh, wait, you want to know what? It is because I didn't see the gradient behind him. I didn't see that. I didn't see that like hourglass gradient behind him.
Yep.
And I was like, is that a compass, buddy? I don't know what's
right. But no, it's the hearing. The boop.
Yeah, absolutely. Boop. That makes the most sense. But yeah, okay. So how does Genba fight? Genba's got kunai, I bet you. You know what I mean? Like that's gonna be fucking sick to see if he's even a combatant at all, or if he's had to rely on his elusive, you know, nature like Tokiyuki and isn't much of a fighter. You know what I mean? We're about to find that out. I think it would be really cool if we had a situation where Tokiyuki, you know, excels in all of the kind of speed and agility areas that Genba doesn't. And then Genba, you know, obviously has the shape shifting, he has the lock picking skills, but then also he's a combatant. So you don't want to completely, you know, make Tokiyuki feel invalid with Genba's character. So you have to give Tokiyuki things that he can do better than Genba, even though they kind of exist in the same wheelhouse. So I think it would be really cool if Genba was more of a fighter, but like not as quick on the getaway or something. Some kind of way to make it feel balanced inside of their dynamic. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if it turns into a fight here, like this like the next chapter might be like the best fucking chapter of Elusive Samurai, bro. For real.
Yeah. No, yeah.
If anything, I could see Genba fighting very dirty just from the way that he's treated all of the villagers and everything, where he's just like, okay, you can hear really well.
Yeah.
Well, I got firecrackers here.
Yes.
Pop them off in his ear.
Oh shit, dude! And you want to know what? As grimy as these motherfuckers are, they probably expect honorable opponents most of the time.
Yeah,
you know,
they're not expecting children. To be like, oh, yeah,
they're not expecting shitty, no honor. You know, children. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, or just dirty fighters in general. Everyone cares so much. I mean, like, look at how Sadamune felt after he lost to Tokiyuki. You know what I mean? Like, that's probably a similar outlook. Or that's probably an outlook that's shared among most people in this time period that have any kind of warrior standing, especially inside of their ranks. You know what I mean? So this dude might be like, hey, I found some kids. They think they're sneaking around here. Well, guess what? I got ears, bro. So you can't really hide from me or run from me. So I've hard countered you. Now this is just, you know, easy cleanup. And then it's boom, dirty fighting, counters back. You know what I mean? And it's like unexpected, you know, shifts in tide back and forth in that way. That's what I feel like we can count on the Elusive Samurai for, is when it does end up coming to blows, we're going to see a lot of subversion and expectations and a lot of like hidden strategy in the conflicts themselves, since we're getting so much subterfuge and stealth and strategy and guile before fights even start. You know what I mean? So I'm really fucking excited for next chapter specifically.
Hell yeah.
I can't wait to see how Genba fights.
And how God,
he's gonna just react to everything around him. I don't know if he's just gonna run or just like, or if Genba's gonna hand him so like, hey, you go kill that motherfucker. Yes. I'll deal with this shit.
Bro, I need kunai. I need smoke pellets. I need substitution jutsu. I need the whole thing, bro. I need it all. I need like, but not like Naruto style. Like I'd rather have it be like a ninku, you know, or like a flame of Rekka. You know what I mean? Like early Flame of Rekka, where like it was actual tools and not special abilities. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I need the full range of actual real life shinobi shit. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, that's what I need from Genba.
Dang.
And I'm pretty sure in history, Shinobi did not fight cleanly or with like honor or pride. I'm pretty sure like, yeah, I'm going for the nuts every time.
They would throw like fucking sharp metallic shrapnel in like, explosives or whatever. So like it would just be, the kind of explosion you'd see in a firecracker, but it's got fucking shrapnel in it. So it's like 10 times more powerful for free. You know what I mean? Like they'd be doing shit like that, so I'm trying to see all of that. You know what I'm saying? Woo! But yeah, I'm good on Elusive Samurai this week, bro.
Yeah, same with me.
Hell yeah. Awesome. All right, well, let's get into our first official coverage of Ranger Reject. So this week we're only going to do an overall, our general thoughts about the series. We're not going to go into any heavy spoilers about the most recent chapter. There might be some spoilers for the record. It's kind of hard to talk about 10 chapters worth of manga without spoiling anything.
Yeah.
So if you don't want any spoilers, just like a quick explanation. It's about Power Ranger type things, right?
Yeah,
like what Sentai, right?
Yeah, Kamen Rider type beat.
Sentai.
Yeah.
Right. And so and it's also very much like a deconstruction and a very alternate look at these sorts of stories. So highly recommend it. It's super, super cool story. So totally understand if you don't want to, get spoiled if you're not caught up yet. So there's currently 10 chapters out. I think they come out about Tuesday, Wednesday kind of time frame.
Mm-hmm.
And this is out of Weekly Shonen Magazine. So anyway, let's get into a conversation about Ranger Reject. How y'all feeling about this series?
One thing I want to say before we get into the conversation, just for the viewers, since this isn't obviously on any kind of official schedule like the rest of the manga that we cover, since it is like kind of like a fingers crossed whether it comes out on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Luckily, we wait until Thursday for Kaiju number 8 to do this show anyway.
Right.
So, but the way that we've kind of decided to do it is that if there is no Ranger Reject chapter translated by Thursday, then we'll treat it as if it's just off for the week. Like like Kaiju number 8 or literally anything else that we review, and then we'll pick up next week. Even if it comes out on like a Thursday night after we're done recording or Friday, we'll just cover that, chapter next time.
Right. Yeah. So sometimes there might be like a double coverage, week or something, right? Where like kind of it was released late and then the other one the next week is released earlier or whatever. And then boom, we'll just cover 2. Anyway, we'll cover all the stuff going forward next week. You know what I mean?
Yes, for sure.
For sure.
But like when I started this manga, it took me a little bit just to get into it. Even though like when I was growing up, I was a super big Power Rangers fan.
Oh yeah.
I was so into I watched like almost every season up until like I don't know, Mystic Force or something.
I think Mystic Force was my last season too, bro. Wait a minute.
I was like, you know what? I've had enough. This is good.
Yeah, I've gotten what I needed from this.
And then when I was going through this, I was like, okay, cool. I'm expecting more cool Power Ranger shit. I'm expecting like transformations and Megazords. But no, being a subversion of the entire genre, it focuses on the villainy within, the opposing team. And I wasn't expecting that in the slightest. And at first I was like, who cares about literal minions? And then that's exactly why they wrote this manga.
Yes. Because no one cares about putties and
nobody
minions.
Cares about putties at all. You only just want to see who's the next big monster Rita's going to be throwing out next week.
Yeah.
Yes. And then it starts to make you care because it's not just, okay, he's a minion. He's a minion who like. You were so right. This is so hard to talk about without spoilers.
I want to. No, we're good. We covered that.
We're good for spoilers. Let's just not. Let's just try not to focus on the newest chapter.
But seeing how like the opposition, like the minions,
right,
their leaders are all gone.
That is so wild.
That is so wild.
Crazy. And I was like, what are you guys even doing here if your leaders are gone? Who's making you? And and then like you see the Rangers and you expect, oh yeah, super good guys, super awesome, like heroes of justice, whatever.
Yeah.
No, almost all of them are assholes.
Yes.
And then when you see the minions, it's just like, okay, you guys are kind of pathetic, but like I kind of get why you're like this.
Right.
And then seeing D break off and like, yeah, I'm going to rectify this entire situation.
Yeah, you said, fuck this, bro.
I'm not going to be a loser my whole life.
So I think my favorite thing about starting Ranger Reject for the first time was that, like, obviously when you see, like, this is my first Power Ranger comic book. Now there are Power Ranger comic books in the West that are juking right now, but I'm not reading those. Yeah, they made a huge comeback in the West, like in the last 3 years. You know what I mean? So like Power Ranger comic books are going crazy right now.
Like literally Power Rangers or Sentai?
Yeah, literally Power Rangers.
Okay,
like
cool.
White Ranger, like Tommy, you know what I'm saying, with the dragon sword and shit. Like, it's like that, you know what I mean? But I mean, like, I don't read them, so I don't know if it's actually Tommy, but it's literally that exact aesthetic, you know, Mighty Morphin type shit, you know what I mean? So that's really cool. And then Ranger Reject comes out, and I'm like, all right, well, let's do this, because I've gotten it recommended by people I care about so often that I'm ready to read it. And I have no idea what to expect when I go into it. And I actually started reading it in the special grade voice channel, you know what I mean, in the Discord with like Yato and the whole gang, you know what I mean? So that was really cool. And when I'm reading it, the craziest thing to me was that after I finished the first chapter, it made me go, I have never once thought about what these putties go through in Power Rangers.
Not once.
And retrospectively, you're like, yes, this is a very this is a comic book that is very self-aware of Sentai tropes. And the mind it takes to look at Sentai storytelling and go, well, what about the putties, dude? You know what I mean? And then go, I'm gonna write about the putties. You know what I mean? It's like your mind, bro. Whoever this motherfucker is, like, I love you for that. You know what I mean? And he did such a good job of you subvert the tropes at the same time as really blowing people's minds with the perspective, because you're like, yeah, this really is just a Monster of the Week show for, you know, ratings. You know what I mean? Like, it's so clear that this is cash grab material. Like, yes, they have an amazing, you know, pantheon that they've established over time, and this is respectable fiction, but at the same time, it's like the tropes that are very obvious are very funny now, you know what I mean? Like nowadays, like back in the day, it was revolutionary, they were doing some other shit, but now it's become very comedic how formulaic the storytelling is, and they're playing right into that by going, these people are essentially treat us like zoo animals for these ratings. You know what I mean? And it's like, yo, this is so like, different, bro.
Right. Yeah. The fact that the entire society is basically built around these weekly Sunday battles, and that literally, like, it isn't just that the Rangers are bad. They are bad, and they are kind of lying to society, obviously, and like this war doesn't need to be going on, and they're only extending this war to remain in power, to remain their prestige and their ability to sell, you know, toys to kids on commercials, right? But the news stations, they're in on it, right? Like they want the ratings too, you know? So it's just like the whole society seems to be in on this conspiracy at a high level, right? So it's like, it feels so interesting and mysterious and good, you know?
Now here's another crazy thing is that, like, how can we only feel bad, like, for these putties, for these minions, because they have the spotlight and they're getting like the focus, you know what I mean? But ultimately it does such a good job of creating a gray society. It's very, the moral blur is very intense very early on, because you ask yourself questions like, well, these motherfuckers came here to kill us anyway, originally. You know what I mean? So like, fuck them, you know what I mean? But then because they got their shit kicked in by the Rangers, all their guys are gone, they've kind of like been humbled, and they're like kind of like, well, we're not really powerful without our executives, so
it's just like what are we even doing here, bro?
Exactly, they're just falling into the norm because they have no choice, and that's sad to us. But then you go back and think, well, you're invaders, bro. Like, you were trying to come here and enslave everybody, or worse, you know what I mean? So like, no matter how you look at this, it's like you can't be 100%, you can't feel 100% good about anything that's happening on either side. And as much as the bad guys, aka the Dragon Keepers or the Rangers, as much as shitty as they're being shown, and they actually are shitty, they're still trying to creep into the white side of morality, at least aesthetically, you know, at least externally. And the villains, as good as they're, you know, we know that they're not harmful. They're just fucking derpy minions that just want to live comfortably now that their executives are gone. They probably only wanted to come kill us because the executives created them and told them to do it. You know what I mean? So now we're back on reasons to sympathize with them. You know what I mean? But at the same time, they're still trying to play their role as villains. You know what I mean? They're still talking tough as fuck, like, yeah, we're bad, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's this crazy moral alignment, blurry whirlwind of just incredible storytelling and depth. in 10 chapters it's so potent, and the reason why is because it's a deconstruction. We
Yes.
don't need so much lore built up in Ranger Reject before we start feeling for these characters, because we already know the tropes, we know what they represent, we know what they're trying to do, so you can go right into the depth without any of the buildup, because we already know what's going on, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's why this kind of storytelling is so fun, especially in a review setting, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Way to put it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the main character D, Foot Soldier D, right? Something I really like about him, and as you were, kind of describing this moral gray area, right? I'm actually getting kind of like One Piece vibes, right? Where like the pirates are the good guys, the Marines are the bad guys. The Marines are exuding this kind of white side of morality, but deep down, behind the scenes, they're actually like supporting, bad shit or whatever. We all know about One Piece, obviously. But like D himself, he is also very much a pirate type character, where like he even says like, I'm a villain, like I'm here to steal your shit, or I'm here to destroy your whole society, or whatever.
I don't villain shit.
But at the same time, he feels good when the townspeople or whatever are like, go get him, villain. He feels warm and fuzzy. He's protecting people in battles when regular ass humans are in the line of fire or whatever. He says he's bad, but he's not really bad. You know what I mean? So like, I love that.
Yes,
it's like a front for himself, but in reality, it's like he's such. I don't want to say deep character just because we're only like 10 chapters in,
right?
But like just the way that he portrays that kind of gray, black, white medium within the entire series is amazing, because he even says like, I'm a villain. But like you said, he feels all warm and fuzzy when people start to cheer him on. And like, I like being cheered on, but I also hate people. But at the same time, I want to kill everybody. And it's a beautiful way this entire series is just awesome through and through.
And the mangaka is one, and it is very early. And one thing that
incredible art.
I was just about to go in there. Like the mangaka is one that knows how to take a static face and give it emotion. Inside of D, he has a humanoid form, but we don't see him, at least in this 10 chapter stretch, in that form very often. It would be very easy for you to give all of his pathos and all of his deep like character writing and all of his emotion in his humanoid form, but he is still an invader first, you know what I mean? And that is a disguise. So the mangaka knows who this character is very much, or very much so, you know what I mean? And they know how to convey their emotions regardless of what form they're in. And it's such high levels of respect to mangaka who can take a masked character and give them emotion while they're wearing it, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And dude, D, bro, and a lot of it comes from D's just silent reactions to things. There's a lot of moments where someone will say something or do something, and it will literally just be D's face with a blank white background or a little bit of debris flying by or like a gray haze around him. He does very little subtle things to show you that this character is thinking and feeling things on the page, even though it's just a heartless face, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of times it's very funny too, where it's just like they're just giving this huge speech, and it's just like, I don't care, just fight me.
Yeah. He's a very like a moody character, right? Like I very much resonate with him because he feels so fed up with society, right? And obviously like the invaders or whatever being essentially slaves because they're forced by the Dragon Keepers to do this thing every week, and if they don't, they're just going to get obliterated and killed or whatever. So they're kind of like in a really bad position. But generally it's just like, like society sucks, like I can't believe we have to fucking do this. It's like I feel that, man, like getting up to work in the morning, I'm like, fuck, I don't want to fucking this fucking sucks, dude.
Every week, man.
So I want to talk about how shitty the Dragon Keepers are, because this is like one thing that I wasn't expecting inside of Ranger Reject, considering it is such an intense raw deconstruction of this area of storytelling. I thought it would be a lot more plot driven. I wasn't ready for the characters to be as intense as they were, you know what I mean? They're really playing these roles to the nth degree, you know what I mean? And when you get a scene later on in the series where you actually are seeing the Dragon Keepers interact off camera together, it was a very heart-rending, gut-wrenching kind of showing inside of their ranks, because the dialogue inside of that fucking room was fucked up. Blue Ranger, Blue Ranger, bro.
Blue didn't surprise me as much as I thought he would, because I was like, you know what, you're the Blue Ranger.
Scars.
The scars, and I was kind of expecting you to act like this, because every Blue Ranger I come across, they're kind of
right.
But Red?
But dude, Red is drastic. You know what I mean? Red is fucking crazy. He's one of those like smiling maniacs. You know what I mean? That has all of the charisma. A Jason Bateman. You know what I mean? Fucking American Psycho or whatever. I think that was Christian Bale's character or whatever. But yeah, he's very much feels like that, you know what I mean? And that's just crazy inside of your like primary leader command, not only of just the villain team, but also in the eye of society, this is everyone's favorite, you know what I mean? It's very like Homelander from The Boys, if anybody out there watches The Boys or anything like that, you know what I mean? It's and that's what I felt like inside of this scene, you know what I mean? It was very Garth Ennis, who is the writer of The Boys. It's very it just felt like The Boy. It felt like Power Rangers version of The Boys, and the dialogue was very raunchy and gross. It felt like Game of Thrones, like Robert Baratheon, you know, or one of the Lannisters yelling at one of their, you know, escorts or whatever in a scene or something. Like it felt like that, you know what I mean? And I was like, and I'm sitting here going like, bro, what an atmosphere to set up for your antagonist, bro. Like this is fucking crazy. And it makes me ask the question, like, because the Dragon Keeper ranks are very established inside of their hierarchy. Oh yeah, this is a real military. You know what I mean?
Yes,
it's because it had to be, because the villains were real at one point. I want to know, you know, I want a very intense like background, like backstory on like what the world was like back when threats were real. You know what I mean? Because that has to give us insight into why these characters are as shitty as they are. Because if you think about war stories, you think about like one of the comedian's monologues in Watchmen, where he was like, I was in Vietnam, I fucking got a girl pregnant, she confronted me about it, I shot her in the head, you know what I mean? It was war, you know what I mean? Like it was different, times were different, you know what I mean? So when you think about like what makes a character like Red, or what makes a character like Blue, or what makes a character like the comedian, sure, they're shitty no matter what their circumstances and what kind of pathos, you know, the mangaka tries to give them. But I really very much so want to see what life was like back when the invaders were, you know, actually a plausible threat, you know what I mean? Because I bet that created high tension in the world. I bet it created high tension inside of the military. It was probably very similar to like our world's military until superhuman aliens came down. Then they had to like redo. I want to know all of that stuff, because it's like, it seems like their hierarchy inside of their ranks have been this way for a long time. But I'm pretty sure that alien threats have only been a thing for how long in this story?
Either like 11 or 13 years, something like that.
13 years.
That's not their military presence feels like it predates that threat quite significantly. So I'd want to know that. That's like my biggest question. Yes.
Yeah, and we even now we've only gotten like a small piece of like any background into what it was like, and even the same way it was like, it's like one of the speeches one of the executives gave the soldiers, what the dustmen, the putties, like early on, and that made me start theorizing. But even then, like there's only so much you can even think of. But like you said, there's so much within their military rankings that like this had to be established far before they even got here.
It feels like it to me, you know what I mean? Now they could have just said, as soon as these aliens touched down, we got our shit pushed in for a little bit, and then like, you know, regrouped and established this kind of system in direct response to the aliens, and that's probably what they'll say, in which case, you know, a lot can happen in 10 and 11 years. You know what I mean? And what kind of warrior or soldier will those kind of circumstances produce? I feel like that is going to be a big moment in the series when we get that kind of flashback, because it's going to explain a lot about why these Dragon Keepers are the way they are. You know what I mean? And that is probably, at least for me, one of the biggest questions on my mind after reading through this. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Shoo.
It might also have to do with like the fame just went to their heads as soon as like they just took out the executives, where it's just like, you know, like you said, the Boys is a very accurate comparison to what Ranger Reject is, because it's like, okay, you're beloved by millions, and everybody wants to be part of your whole crew, but once you get there, it sucks.
Not what you don't meet your heroes, kid type shit. You know what I mean? And it's like, Yeah, bro. Like I love how, even though I'm like not the biggest fan of the Boys comic, I am watching the Boys TV show right now, and I feel like it fixes all of the issues that I had with the comic while staying true to the source enough. So if you haven't seen the Boys and you're curious after this conversation, I would suggest watching it instead of reading it. But you will see exactly what we're talking about. It's literally this exact situation in Ranger Reject, but for Western comic book superheroes. So
nice.
It's a lot of fun. But wow, I wasn't ready to come into this conversation and feel this this intensely about the Boys reference. You know what I mean? Like,
sure,
that's crazy.
Sure.
Yeah, because I just finished the Boys.
Fuck
yeah. After watching all of it and then starting to read Ranger Reject, I was like, damn, this really feels like the Boys, except it's not just it's not Super Sentai.
Yeah.
Or it is Super Sentai. It's Power Rangers, and they suck. The Dragon Keepers are assholes.
Okay,
for real.
So let's talk about I want to talk about I wanted to talk about what I just talked about, obviously, and then my last two major things that I need to make sure that we talk about, which obviously we will, is the fucking divine weapons.
The divine tools.
Let's go into divine tools, because
yes.
when the concept was originally introduced, it was just the Dragon Keepers have theirs, and they were made for the Dragon Keepers, and whoever is blue, whoever is red, regardless of how many times they get replaced, they all get this one weapon. And so I'm sitting here going like, well, oh shit, like that's kind of broken. Like, what do we do about that? And then D's like, all right, well, I'm gonna go steal one, and I'm like, okay, well that's one way to do it. Fuck yeah, okay, yeah, go get one of theirs. You know what I mean? And then maybe you could take that, reverse engineer it some kind of way. I don't fucking know, but let's get a divine tool that works for D in his hand. You know what I mean? And then you get more information about how it's like, no, you just can't even come in contact with this shit.
Yeah, like you can't even touch this
it's
shit.
that hard of a counter against you. You know what I mean? And it's like that raised the stakes astronomically in this series. You know what I mean? Like how they play with that concept is probably one of the things I'm most excited about also inside of Ranger Reject, because D needs to eventually have an advantage here.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And so it's like, how are they going to do it?
Yeah, and when I first started when I was first reading it, I thought that he was gonna try and try and get an advantage in any way, shape, or form. The first thing that popped in my head wasn't he was gonna try and steal one of these incredible weapons. It was just gonna be like, all right, we're just gonna make anti-rangers, like the classic trope that you always see in the Power Rangers.
Oh yeah.
But that didn't happen. He was just like, yeah, let me go steal this, and then he gets busted.
Yeah.
And that just goes south entirely.
Yes.
I was like, what is this guy gonna do if he can't even touch these things?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of hope does he even have to beat any of the Rangers if he can't even try to steal one?
That's what's so impressive about Ranger Reject, because you give literally the only advantage you give D is that he's immortal, but they have a counter for that. Then you give him limits inside of you would flesh out his immortality, and he can do a lot of really cool things with it. But then you give him so many limits inside of that, he can't change his mass. You know what I mean? All of his shape shifting has to exist inside of his current size, weight, and form. You know what I mean? And on top of that, it's really just shapes. There's no added force. There's no added weight. There's no added power to anything that he does. So he sounds really broken at first, and then you show that the Dragon Keepers have a direct counter to his immortality. You see that he can't even touch their weapons. You know what I mean? It's such a crazy obstacle that our main character has, and I'm so excited to see how the writer gets D through that, because I feel like they've established so well that he has no chance against these characters. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whatsoever.
Yeah.
So he can touch the sword, the red tool.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He just can't touch the blue one, because the blue one is like the acid or whatever.
Sure. No, that's not even the blue one though. That's
the fake one.
That's the fake blue one.
The secondary blue one. Or
Yeah. But can he even use the red one? Probably not, right? Because even they were saying you have to be third class to even use or whatever, and there must be some sort of, I don't know, there's just so much mystery in terms of where did the divine tools come from? Are they are they from the invaders? Is this invader technology, or is this actually divine technology that is unrelated to the invaders, kind of a Shinto or a traditional Japanese divinity type of thing, right? and why are they called dragon keepers? Like, where does the dragons come in, right? Like, just so much mystery.
And it seems like
they do have the mascot, and I'm not sure where this mascot came from.
Yeah,
when he was just like floating into the meeting, he was like, "This is why I gave you the weapons in the first place. Yeah. What the fuck are you doing, dude?"
Yeah. And I just want to say that, like, I'm pretty sure that we got dialogue that says that the divine tools are like linked to like human DNA to some degree. So like the reason why they can probably even use these tools the way that they do, it's probably linked to some kind of genetic situation. Once you become a red or once you become a blue, you go through something that makes you compatible with that weapon specifically. You know what I mean? To where you're the only one who can utilize its activated ability or something like that. You know,
maybe having a similar ancestor or somebody like that the mascot came in contact with in like the Edo period or whatever. Just something to where that you guys can use the. But that's even more confusing, because then why train up all of these like fodder soldiers below you to like wield these weapons, or do they have like
because
type of screening process?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, is that like I don't think it's a lineage thing, since obviously, you know, dragon keepers can be replaced by people not related to them. You know what I mean? So once if the current red were to die or get demoted or something like that, and then the new red came up, they would be able to use his divine tool that he was using earlier. So why? And I want to say that it's because there's some kind of genetic link or DNA like situation that when you are, you know, knighted as a dragon keeper, you go through
it modifies your DNA, like a mutant kind of.
Something like that. You know what I mean? So where you can wield the tool to the utmost, you know, efficiency or effectiveness. You know what I mean? So and even if there's limitations inside of humans, then you can guarantee that like D would not be able to wield this the way Red would. You know what I mean? So,
right. Yeah. I think the only other alternative besides that would be like there is some sort of technique you learn, right? Like there's some like
energy system, like NEN or something.
An energy system, like you're about to be promoted to 3rd class, and it's like, all right, we're gonna bring you in this room and be like, all right, here's the deal, like here's how these things actually work. You know what I mean? And here you're gonna start your training of how to meditate and build up this, you know, NEN or ki or whatever it is, this energy that lets you use these tools or whatever, or tap into some potential in yourself or something, right? So I think it could be that D still could use a tool or some tool, or maybe not the blue one, obviously. But I think it'd be cool if he couldn't. You know what I mean? As y'all been saying, like give him even more of a shitty situation and more limit of a handicap and limitations. You know what I mean?
Really, just push him into despair to where it's like, okay, so how are you gonna do this? I can't. I literally just can't. Like, I don't know what you want me to do.
Right.
And it's just refreshing that it's a main character inside of a shonen series that isn't just granted everything, or not granted everything, but like even training and hard work probably doesn't work for fucking D, because he's not even human. He has this invader body that is so different from the human body. It can do a lot of things that humans can't, but it can't even do basic things that humans can. You know what I mean? So like when you make your character that much of an underdog, it does everything for how compelling your story is. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Especially if you're going to ramp the villains up this drastically. And that's why a character like I can't remember the female character that is on the Dragon Keeper side.
Suzukiri Yumeko.
Right. So that's why a character like Suzukiri is so important, because it gives you insight into the enemy ranks naturally, because she clearly has a problem with the status quo. And it's a quid pro quo kind of situation between her and D, to where she probably doesn't care too much about D, but he's the perfect situation for what she's trying to do.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's an I scratch my back, you scratch my back kind of thing. There's no morality involved. It's just personal interest and who can help me achieve it. You know what I mean? And that is the kind of atmosphere that I feel like isn't a layup for stakes in your story.
Yes.
You don't know what anyone is going to do at any time. You can't use that, well, this character would never betray somebody. This is Asta from Black Clover. You know what I mean? Like, this character would never, like, when you have uncertainty in the behavior of your characters, like the compelling nature of your story skyrockets. Because now you need to get the next chapter to see if they do anything out of pocket. You know what I mean? It's like I kind of gotta. I'm suspicious of this character now. Now I got to see what they're gonna do. You know what I mean?
Yes,
so it's like when you have that in every character in your fucking story, I'm here forever, bro. You did it. You cracked the fucking code for Knox to read your story forever. If that means anything to you.
Hell yeah.
You know, I think it's. I just want to say, I think it's really kind of interesting how fast everything is kind of falling apart for the Rangers. Sort of, not really. Like like we said, it's only been going on for about 10, 13 years.
Yeah.
And now you have somebody who's risen to the ranks of like a second in command of a Ranger who wants to tear apart everything. You have a minion who wants to tear apart everything. The Rangers are already assholes. And then you have like the one good character. I can't remember his name. The Red Ranger class, like I want to say 5, like 5th class.
He's actually not even affiliated with any color. He's colorless.
Yeah.
Hibiki is his first name, and then like Sakurama is a lot of what they call him. But then there was this one panel of him called Sakurazawa.
I think he represents like the whitest good guy. Like in the series, at least so far. I think
what the Rangers should be opposed to what they are.
Yeah, I feel like amidst all of these morally gray, selfish characters, you have this dude who is like the Kobe, you know what I mean, of the situation. And like really wants to see revolution because he knows that the status quo is wrong, but isn't a frontliner, you know what I mean?
Right,
so
right.
I really appreciate his role in the story because as much as I appreciate everything that I just praised Ranger Reject for and having such a morally ambiguous cast, having that moral tether there anyway is just a good background feeling for me. You know what I mean? Because like Entropy eventually needs, you know, a fucking lawful line to tether it all together anyway. Otherwise you're going to feel like all of this didn't have a purpose. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Holy moly rockets. Ranger Reject is that gas. Shout out to Yato.
For real?
Shout out to Yato fucking Gami for pushing this series so fucking hard and like really making us want to choose it as a manga for. I feel like most of the reason why Ranger Reject is on the lineup right now is because Yato did such a good job of praising it and hyping it up, you know what I mean?
This is an example where like Project Manga Discord, you know what I mean, and our Project Manga, you know, supporters, you know, are the people who brought this manga to our attention, you know what I mean? It's like, yo, like check this shit out, you know what I mean? And like, and I've been reading since chapter 1 when Yato dropped chapter 1, right? It's like y'all gotta read this, like okay. So I just think it's like really cool, you know what I mean? Like come full circle, you know what I mean? Like they've given it to us, and now we're, you know, able to you know, give back and review this, you know, for the special grade. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And just on my end, I kind of want to shout out Kirifumi on Twitter. He's like the biggest Super Sentai nerd I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He's been pushing it right alongside Yato this entire time. And oh my God.
You got to shout out Kira, bro.
Of course. I don't know if he's in the Project Manga Discord. I haven't seen him. But
I haven't seen him in there either, but he's in our high grade shamans like Jujutsu Kaisen chat, which was like the first group chat that like anybody from Project Manga was in on Twitter, you know what I mean? And yeah, like it was at a point where it was almost like comedy that he would just arbitrarily send in Sentai and Kamen Rider gifs and like links and just random wiki information that no one asked for. And it's like, that's why we love you, bro. But then now it's like relevant because we're like,
now he's just handing out Ranger Reject shit. Like, oh, you want Ranger Reject?
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah. So shout out Kira, dude, for sure. Oh my God, love that kid.
Hell yeah. Well, I think that's a fantastic introductory discussion about Ranger Reject.
Absolutely. Huh? If you haven't read Ranger Reject and you sat through this entire segment, go read that shit.
I hope this made you want to read it.
Right. I hope it hopefully you just go read it because of the conversation. But just in case, I'm telling you again. Read Ranger Reject.
Glasses off. Well, good shit. Let's get on to the next one then. Moving on to Shangri-La Frontier, chapter 37. Oh, it's interesting. Like, it's chapter 37 for sure. But now I'm looking on Crunchyroll. There's a typo on the first page of Crunchyroll. It says chapter 35. That is very funny. Anyway, chapter 37. I guarantee it's 37. All emotions in the moment, part 7.
Oh my God, this chapter!
What a chapter! Oh my God. We start off with more description about Evil Force and what it does specifically and what the detriments are specifically. And wow, what a fucking item this is, huh?
Oh, yeah. This it's kind of interesting how, like, not even kind of, it's very interesting how, like, she said, like, you're going to have some side effects. Yeah. And then all the side effects are, like, super detrimental. Right. Your smell, your taste, your
all
sight,
your senses.
All your senses,
kind of fucked. And I wasn't ready. Like, I had to reread it multiple times because I did not believe it. Your level goes down by 1 every, 30 seconds?
30 seconds, permanently.
Permanently, for the rest of your time playing Shangri-La Frontier, unless you
re-get them. I think you can re-get them.
Yeah, you can re-get them, but you can't, like, it's not going to, like, say, like, you're not going to drop down to level 22 and then it's just going to gradually put it back up. You have to earn those levels back.
Right, for sure. But, like, doesn't that, like, okay, so the way that I interpreted this is, like, for the rest of your time playing this game, you will decrease in a level every 30 seconds. Unless you're actively working to counteract that with experience in whatever way that you're trying to do it.
So I didn't know. The effect on page 1.
Yeah.
It says for 15 minutes, right?
Oh, for 15. I guess I didn't even see that.
And then later
it says, and for 15 minutes. Oh my god.
You lose 1 level every 30 seconds, which means over the course of the 15 minutes, you lose 30 levels.
Okay, because I was like, bro, like, no way. I was like, dude,
that would be too much.
I don't know how I missed for 15 minutes. That's, like, really important. And I, like, went back and, like, I was like, I don't think this is real dialogue multiple times and just missed for 15 minutes. We all know,
Knox, you never read the square boxes. You just skip all the square boxes. So.
Yo, but dude, okay, but this is crazy because it's like, think about, like, okay, so think about what kind of detriment you would have if you had a buff like this. Like, what should be taken away if you were to go from level 50 to level 100 instantly?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what should those
going freaks?
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? And, like, this makes a fuck ton of sense. And I feel like this is a chapter that for, like, video game mechanics was, like, one of the biggest that we've had, because this pretty much at every point of conflict in this chapter, it was very heavy on the mechanics of Shangri-La Frontier and the abilities being used. And that is something that, at least me, as someone who considers themselves an aspiring writer that has considered writing, like, video game type of fiction before, is you have to understand that it's not a video game. It's still a comic book with a purpose and a narrative. It's not as arbitrary and choose your own adventure as actual people playing a video game. So you have to find a way to make it feel like a video game and a comic book equally. Otherwise, I feel like you're going to have a lot of complaints and criticisms in a lot of areas if you don't know how to balance something like that, because then it's either going to be too boring because this is too much like a video game and I'm not actually playing it, or it's going to be too much like a comic book that's trying to be like a video game, but
it'll feel fake.
The author didn't put in that fucking time and, love into it. You know what I mean? So, but this is a perfect blend, dude. This is like, this is the best thing one of the best, like, manga that's trying to do this that I've ever seen. It is the best manga that's trying to do this that I've ever seen. We've said that multiple times.
I think so. For me, I think
so. But it's just so crazy how good it feels on a technical and fantastical level. Or whimsical level, you know what I mean? It's the total fucking package, man. Like, when we just skipping forward a little bit, when we get the dialogue, and obviously there's a lot to go through here, and this is really towards the end. But when he's talking about Togetsu, and I don't think that we've gotten this explanation on how they work before. I want to say that we've maybe seen Togetsu waxing and then this flavor text on it, or this description, and then Togetsu waning in that description. I don't remember seeing it, but I want to say that this is either reiteration or it's like the first time that we're actually finding out what these do, and to actually give us the narration of what they do in this moment when it's relevant to what's actually happening in the combat is a brilliant idea if this is the first time that we've gotten this. Because honestly, when I'm reading this page, I'm like, this feels like I'm playing a game of Magic the Gathering. My health is going up because of this. My health is going down because of this, but they're in a cycle to where it's my advantage, even though there's huge detriments on one side of it. You know what I mean? Like, that is one of the best feelings to get that I didn't even know I needed from Shangri-La Frontier. Shangri-La Frontier is constantly giving me things I didn't know I wanted from manga.
Right.
Every week. You know what
and
I mean?
the Magic the Gathering comparison I think is very apt, because like when you're building a deck or whatever, right? Like the pros, like the super pros, they find the interactions between this card that seems kind of shitty and that card that seems kind of shitty, but put them together and all of a sudden it's like the best combination. And so it's like you would look at, say, Togetsu waxing, right? Landing a critical costs HP. It actually hurts you, but it boosts the power of the next strike. And it's like, well, that kind of sucks. I mean, it's good.
But my next strike is Togetsu waning.
but also, I have a different ability, climax boost, where when you are at a third of your HP or less, you get another skill unlocked. So it's like, it's good to hurt you because it helps you put yourself into that other condition that is also bad. You're also weakened, but it unlocks a different skill that makes you way OP relative to those conditions. So it's just like,
whenever your health goes a little bit too low, you hit Togetsu waning and gain more HP. So like even though we don't see it technically applied, focused in on each individual weapon, this page lets us know that these things are happening when the smoke is happening. You know what I mean? And it feels so good to have these mechanics so well understood, because we know that the author incorporates them in the combat art, whether there's dialogue there or not, because you're either going to get a superimposed health bar that shows you any kind of progress, in one direction or another on Sunraku's health. You get all kinds of overlays and heads-up displays, and you can do so much in this medium visually to help the narrative. And it's so crazy how well this mangaka figured it out, and I don't think they have any other work before this.
That's wild.
And I know that it's based off of a light novel, but I don't think that. And I haven't looked into it, but like, if that person doesn't have any previous work before that light novel, then like this is like some of the most impressive shit I've ever seen done for a first project.
Even if it's based off a light novel, right? It's not like a light novel saying like, and then there's a panel where in the panel you can see that there's a hit, HP bar, right? And it's 7 out of 30, right? Like,
so it's still the manga.
The manga is perfectly executing whatever this base material is. You know what I mean? It's just like it feels so good.
Absolutely,
it really does.
Oh yeah, but let's go. I jumped way ahead. I'm sorry, but like let's go. Let's go back, because there's so much cold-blooded shit that goes down here, fam. Like, fucking Kazo after taking the evil force. For fighting this mount.
Black.
It was so convergence and divergence, you know what I mean? Like Gojo red, blue into purple. I got that vibe. Obviously, it's not on the same level, but it feels like it's like that level for this game. You know what I mean? Because this is such a drastic jump. This is literally doubling your stats for 15 minutes and going into probably your specialized pugilist ultimate move with those heightened stats. You know what I mean? It does carry some of that Gojo flair to it. You know what I mean? Because this is such a unique situation where this character is fully realized for a moment. You know what I mean? And that's always fucking cool to see, especially when it's drawn in this fucking Murata tier choreography and paneling. Jesus. And I say that like all the time. And you want to know what? Again, going into the mechanics again. Like, boom, dual impact. My left hand carves a cross into the target, and then my right hand, I land one killer straight on it. And you know that that's like an explosion. That's like like some kind of damage mechanic eruption. You know what I mean? And like that is just because the conditions are met, and you fucking like black flashed it, or so to speak, or whatever. And it's just like such a satisfying. I feel like I'm fighting this mob. Or I'm fighting this, in this game. I'm like, shit, you know what I mean? I hit the crit, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, like, it's so crazy how, like, I feel just enough like I'm in a video game when I'm reading this, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. And, the art really helps to emphasize all of those, like, those animations you get in any video game that you play, where it's just, like, especially, like, here in, like, Spear of the Sunrise, where you have, like, a dash move, where it's just, like, you see, like, the shockwaves, like, surrounding a pencil gun, where it's just, like, boom, got him.
Yeah.
God. And then it's honestly really hilarious right after that, where she's just like, damn, we're not really doing any damage. And then, boop, just got blasted.
Yeah.
I wanted to say something about this blast, right? So, like, yes, as you say, like, they're not really doing anything. And then this, the mech kind of, like, shoots this huge laser beam. I'm pretty sure Pencilgon has lost an arm here, and it's unclear to me how if Pencilgon can get it back in this battle or ever. But like bottom of page 9, after this blast,
it's starting to dematerialize.
And then top of page 10, it's even more dematerialized. Like so it's like it seems like she has lost an arm, and I'm really curious. Like, is this permanent? You know what I mean?
Like, is she gonna not be able to use her spear anymore? Is she gonna have to switch to a one-handed sword that's gonna be less like DPS per second? What's she going to do if she can't not dual wield, but if she can't like use both her hands on the spear? Are they going to actually lose?
And if that's a thing in Shangri-La Frontier, to where you have a two-handed weapon like a spear, but you have been one of your appendages is sealed essentially, and you don't have access to it, how are you just not able to use that spear anymore? Obviously in Shangri-La Frontier it's a lot more, the VR is so advanced that you can do things like hold a two-handed weapon in one hand. You know what I mean? How does that affect the damage you have with it? Is it related to kinetic weight and movement? You know what I mean? Like a human body is. Are you still going to get that same damage, or do you need both hands and your waist and all of the regular, combat physics to go along with it in order for your strikes to be effective? You know what I mean? That's a big question, I feel like, in Shangri-La Frontier. And I feel like the fact that her arm is dematerializing in a way that she can't automatically supplement with an item that she's been using, one of the menagerie of items she's been using this whole time, is actually really concerning, because obviously we know, at least we can assume that if she does not get this arm back for the rest of this fight, probably gets it back outside of the instance. You know what I mean?
But I will say that Sanraku fought that wolf, Lyacon or whatever, Lycion, and permanently cannot equip armor on several parts of his body. Now, he can still use weapons in those parts of his body that can't equip armor, his arms, right?
Yeah.
Now, Pencilgon may never be able to use a weapon in that hand anymore. That seems like a one of the seven colossi kind of ability. You know what I mean?
You're right.
Yeah, it does.
You're right. And if they give something like that to the mount...
Yeah, I was about to say.
Imagine what kind of permanent damage Wazaimon does to you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Wow.
Ridiculous.
So I agree that probably she'll get it back after this battle, but the potential is there that she doesn't.
Yeah, that's a wild spot though, because I did not notice that at all.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that her arm was dematerializing at the top, like completely at the top.
You
of,
noticed the progression of the dematerialization.
Yeah.
I thought that this one panel where her fingers were kind of starting to go digital was all that we got. And I was like, okay, well, that could be taken as obviously her arm got damaged in the blast and now it's healing. But you get the next panel of it more dematerialized, and I completely missed that great spot.
Yeah, I entirely missed that.
Yeah. Wow.
So then let's see here. We're using the Togetsu waxing and waning. Amazing.
Climax boost.
And we got another mechanic introduced.
Yes.
After this climax boost, Hunger Wolf.
Yes.
Where there is a hunger mechanic that your character can literally eat food to increase the hunger gauge.
Cool.
Love it. So amazing.
But see, the way that it's explained is so drastic, because it's like, now in most games that have a hunger mechanic, you're fucked if that runs out.
Yeah,
you're
dead.
I mean? Like you start losing health or something like that. But this, it's like, if you're hungry, your stamina just replenishes slower. So it's still a massive detriment, but it's not like
the end of the world.
Nothing matters. I'm fucking dead. You know what I mean? It's not like such.
It's not going to be like -1 HP every second or something.
Yeah, something crazy like that. So like it's crazy how much thought is put into the give and take of literally anything that happens in here, because there's so much going on in the foreground that like there's a lot of little subtle shit happening in the background that makes all the foreground shit possible, or at least as potent as it feels to us. And at least for me, it's something that like I kind of always forget until we get these really hyper focused mechanic chapters. You know what I mean? Because it's like our understanding of Shangri-La Frontier, I feel like, is higher than our understanding of the plot at large. You know what I mean? Like
the game versus the plot.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I feel like it's doing a lot to make sure that we understand how this game works mechanically.
Yes.
Because, and I feel since it's so early in the story, I feel like the reason why it's doing this is because we need to understand the mechanics of Shangri-La Frontier very well in order to even understand any of the really intense plot stuff that's coming. Very similar to like Nen in Hunter x Hunter. You need to know how Nen works inside and out for anything after Heaven's Arena to slap the appropriate amount. You know what I mean? So it's like, when I feel that in anything, it's a crazy feeling.
It's incredible.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And Shangri-La Frontier, I feel like, is setting up a very similar Nen reliance on the plot that Nen has inside of the mechanics and the functionality of the actual video game Shangri-La Frontier. And like, that's so new, dude. Like, I've never seen anything like that before anywhere.
I like the closest thing, like you said, is Hunter x Hunter, where the plot is so reliant on the applications of Nen and how you use it and what kind of contracts you can make.
Yes.
It kind of gets translated into Shangri-La Frontier, where it's not, technically it's not a power system. It's an operating system of the entire game.
It's a framework that you need to understand just as much as something like an energy system in a story like Hunter x Hunter or Jujutsu Kaisen. You know what I mean?
For a game, like as you're saying, Snooty, like for a game, the game itself kind of is the magic system. You know what I mean? It's that game mechanic system that is just as important as Nen. Yeah, I love that. Shoot.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
So then I just got to say, when I was reading this chapter and, get to page 15, Sunraku's going into Izaimon he's like, oh, we just got, Hungry Wolf explained. He's like, yeah, I'm going to go in there and fuck this guy up. And then on page 15, third panel, we see the necklace and I'm like, Nixtradamus has returned.
Nixtradamus!
Because as I said, I feel like, shoot, it was before the battle. It was like 7-8 chapters ago. It was like 8. The chapter Elam gave Sunraku this thing. I was like, Sunraku's literally like, Wazaimon's gonna see this and be like, oh, it's you. And here we have, oh my God.
Yo. And you want to know what? You want to know what?
Alice.
So Elam, the rabbit.
The white rabbit. The
white rabbit gave him this necklace, and this name is Alice. Whoa!
Now, I will say I did go back and I did go back and check that chapter. I wish I wrote the chapter down, but y'all can just go back. Remember, it's like chapter 28 or something like that. But anyway, Vash is the one that initially had this necklace, right?
Yeah.
Vash gave it to Elam, and Elam made a necklace out of it. So like and Vash is also a white rabbit, right? So like. But Alice, as exactly as you're saying, you know what I mean? White rabbit, Alice,
one pill makes you larger, and one pill makes you small. Come on, man. Wait a minute. I didn't even, bro. I was like, who the fuck is Alice? Oh my God, bro. If they do what we think they're gonna do right now, son.
And the cube itself, the necklace, is an ID. It's an ID chip or whatever, right? So I actually took let me look at my phone here. I took a screenshot of the page. I'll just read it again. So this is an ID shard necklace. It has no effects. It is a remain, a vestige, a fragment, a splinter. Once a kind of identifier. It is uncertain how it was used. However, at one time, it was physical proof of its owner's existence. And this must be proof of Alice's existence,
You want to know what's crazy about this? This is an item that is clearly meant, when it's shown to us, to feel like it means nothing at all. Obviously, we know it means something, but we can't fully grasp exactly what kind of narrative impact it'll have because we don't know the future of the story. But it's very much so trying to kind of paint it as something that feels useless, but with that ominous feeling, kind of behind it. And then to have it be relevant to a instanced, special character in this way, to give it value in a different way other than immediate item value, but narrative value is so fucking crazy. There's so many times where I'll fucking break my back in a fucking MMORPG for a quest to get an item that I feel like is not relevant at all to anything that I'm trying to do. You know what I mean?
On.
Yeah, and I'll be like, why the fuck did I just spend 5 hours to get this? You know what I mean? But then to take that concept and go, yes, this item does nothing for you at face value, but you're going to eventually, hopefully, run into a quest to where this thing blows your mind in a narrative way. They need to do that more. You know what I mean? Like, this is fucking brilliant, dude.
This really highlights like the importance of key items and quest items within the series. Like you get handed like a broken plate. Like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Now imagine Snooty, you get that shitty item after that quest, and you go, this does nothing for me. and you fucking toss it. And then you get to the fucking quest where that thing mattered in the narrative, and you can't progress. Now you feel like an idiot and have to start the game over from who knows how far away. A motherfucker like me would go, this is the best game I ever played in my life just because it did that to me. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be like, all right, I just wasted a week in real time. Fuck it. That was brilliant. I'm starting over. You know what I mean? Like, I need more of this. Now I need to pay a little bit more attention. I appreciate that. You know what I mean?
I definitely appreciate this.
Yeah.
In its entirety.
Yeah.
And I love how like he sees it, and you don't really think too much about it. Like, he sheathes the sword. You think he's going for Tachikaze.
Right.
Even Sunraku thinks he's going for Tachikaze.
Yeah.
He's just like, Alice.
Yo, and look at this panel of Wazaimon on page fucking 17 at the top, where he's like inverted colors for a second. I was like, what is he about to do right? And then it didn't really do anything, but I was like, yo, this is a different drawing. I was like, something's happening.
That's hilarious.
Like, oh, he's about to snap. This might be the end of Sunraku, and he just starts speaking. I was like, he can talk?
Yes.
Right.
He can say more than named attacks.
Right. I liked that, and you can see this on 16, like, it's like two panels after the one you're talking about, Nox, where like he's like, I'll just let that slide with another parrying protect, and he like literally like whips his own head. He's like, he was timing it perfectly for if there was an attack.
Yes.
And there was an attack. He's like, huh? Like what happened? So
he hit the Willow Smith, and he was mistaken.
Dude, what a fucking chapter, bro! Oh my God, Shangri-La Frontier. These weekly Shonen Monday manga. Like I just want to say something. Like, we almost didn't like do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we almost decided to just say, fuck it, it's Weekly Shonen Jump everything. You know what I mean? But like this addition to the roster, I feel like is such a perfect, like the most perfect replacement. You know, period, for our coverage, you know what I mean? And Ranger Reject too, as a deconstruction of a very popular area of storytelling, is another really important thing for our show, you know what I mean? So these are things that we couldn't really tap into without another publication line. So I love the Special Grade Show.
Very much appreciate
I fucking love this fucking atmosphere, man.
Yes. 100%.
Man.
Well, damn. That's all I had. What about y'all?
I'm good, man. My favorite chapter is Shangri-La Frontier, though. I just want to say, like, this is my. I think I've said this. I think there's been 3 times specifically that I've said this is my favorite chapter of Shangri-La Frontier. Yeah. This is for real and for true my favorite.
I have to agree. I think I think I have to agree.
Yeah,
with that.
I really might have to agree with you on that. Like reading this week to week, and then just getting the build up to this.
Yes.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Man. Oh wait. Remember what I was saying? A couple weeks ago, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, right before we went into phase 3, and I was like, how tight would it be if now that we're into phase 3, it goes into a cutscene that the yo
he just unlocked the cutscene,
right? Right, so I was like, yo, we haven't been to, this is uncharted waters. What if it gives us the backstory of Wazaimon, you know what I'm saying, and Setsuna and all of this stuff, and our main cast has to watch this, you know what I mean? And you made an amazing comment, you know what I mean, back when I originally said that, and you were like, that's so cool, because normally when we get a backstory for an antagonist, it happens in a way that kind of stops the current time and focuses on it in a way, you know, that the main characters are not experiencing. It's for the reader. And the main characters are still like right about to hit this dude. And then the record scratches and it stops. Bet you're wondering how I got here today type shit. And then you get the backstory for the villain and you're like, I feel for this character now. And then when they cut them down, you're like, oh no. But like in this, you said it would be so cool because the main characters would actually have to sit through this backstory like the readers do. And ever since then, I was like, they need to fucking do this. This is their moment. This is their chance. And then we go into phase 3 and there's no cutscene. And I'm like, oh. But then now, son, we have a cliffhanger that could suggest a fucking cutscene like we were talking about. And I'm so excited again. Yes.
And it's so incredible that this, if it is a cutscene, it's so incredible that it's not time-based. You don't have to fight him for a specific period of time. You just needed this specific item to unlock his cutscene. And it's so cool because fucking Pencilgon has been trying this whole time with an entire guild of people who had no idea
how to beat this dude. And how you beat him is by having this necklace to unlock the cutscene to... Wait! Oh, no.
Incredible.
Wait, did we... Okay. If this happens next week, bro, if this happens next week, I'm acting a fucking fool, bro. I swear to God, you'll see a different Nox, bro. I swear to God, bro. But yeah, I'm good. I'm good on on Shangri-La Frontier, man.
This is gonna have so much reread value and just readability value, just at all.
Yes.
Oh,
fantastic
series. I love reading this week to week. Yes. So much. So much.
All right.
We're good.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
All right, let's get into Kaiju number 8, chapter 31, and we can start off with this cute little cover. I like that the baby Kafka has a squirt gun, right?
Yeah,
and like you can,
cute.
if you go really adorable. Zoom in or whatever, like you can see like the bubbles. You can see the tube of the water gun, like going from the barrel to the handle or whatever. Like it's like a squirt gun. It's like I had that exact thing. I'm sure when I was a little kid.
I'm positive I have this, except it didn't have like the little like thing for the trigger. It was just
Oh, sure.
It was just a little like push in, like
push in.
Yeah.
What I love about this cover is that it shows a younger Kafka, obviously probably around the time that he first decided what he wanted to do with his life, and then you have the adult Kafka now that he feels like he's actually in a position to where he can fulfill that dream. And this is a very Kafka heavy chapter in regard to what happens at the end. And we also get a lot of dialogue, about like directly from Kafka about this is what I've been waiting for. Ever since I was a kid, like I've been wanting to stand right here in this stage. So I feel like this cover page is very appropriate to kind of represent that that coming into his own, or that.
Yes.
I mean, I don't want to say coming of age because he's like 32. What I mean. But it's just a great chapter for that theme. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or a great cover for that theme, rather. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Wow.
The beginning of the chapter, obviously, it's like. I've written down like the first 7 pages are basically all feel good fluff. You know what I mean? It's like, yes, we beat the kaiju, and it's like when you do this at the beginning of a chapter, you're like, okay, well, why are you doing this at the beginning of a chapter? You know what I mean? Like, this is too early. So I was like, yep, this dude's definitely gonna come back in some way.
They got me, bro.
They got you?
Like okay, let me tell you. When I started the chapter, I saw his head gone. Core we know is fucked, or to our knowledge, the core is fucked. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I'm like, they have a reason to feel good right now.
Sure.
They have been going through hell for the last 5 or 6 chapters, and now this is the whatever. Now obviously it is at the front of the chapter, so like you had guessed, there's probably going to be some bullshit. Especially with the history of Kaiju number 8 having a very drastic page turn in regard to stakes and threats. You turn the page and some crazy. You never know what the next page is going to be. In a series like this. So I could have probably thought a little bit harder about it and kind of figured it out. But I was just totally like, yes, let's go. They finish this. They're gonna go party, drink. We're gonna get some fucking characterization, and then the next threat's gonna show up. No, the next threat is here before this one is fully finished, and it's so crazy because when you see the giant kaiju bomb on the double spread, you're like, oh my God, a new threat again? Like, what the fuck? Like, okay, well, I hope that this fucking new threat is as cool as the last Uvogin kaiju. And then you turn the page again and you're like, no, this was the Uvogin kaiju. He's still doing shit. And you're like, oh my God. At least for me, I was like, dude, I love this dude. And I hope he's not actually like dead. Like, I want this to be a recurring villain, somehow, you know what I mean? I love him way more than Kaiju number 9.
Yeah. And like I don't know how they might even bring him back, but like the fact that he was even speaking in this chapter where he's just like, hey human, looks like this game is a draw.
Yeah, like that's the best line. That's the best line of dialogue to give him in that moment, because it's not desperate. It's not like, frantic. It's very confident. It's very understanding. Like, yeah, I'm dead, but like you're all dead too. And that's why I'm not in like a flustered, pissed off state. You know what I mean? He was all for the fight. He was all for, the pride and the honor and the warrior spirit. You know what I mean? You could feel that in this kaiju. And to give him these kind of final words, or potentially final words after he's been literally decapitated and everyone is celebrating. It was just a perfectly badass and perfectly feeling line of dialogue for his character right there. And I just
absolutely,
that decision making is everything.
Yes, I do think that this dialogue from him does hint to me that he's gonna die, like permanent die, right? Because he's basically saying like, yes, you beat me, but I'm going to, it's more of a self-destruct. You didn't kill me, you triggered in me, I have to self-destruct. It's a draw, so like I'm gonna kill you and also die kind of thing. So I'm pretty sure this dude is going to be out. I did want to go back to the page 8 and I double spread where you see this kind of bomb or whatever. Because like, look at like on the bubbles of this bubbling, bomb. It's like the heads of those wyvern types.
Yeah, so
it's
they
so
all
crazy.
Just
like
kind of he shouted, he did that screech, that self-destruct kamikaze screech, and basically they said
came together or something.
So I'm assuming when he made that screech, he was like, "Yo, this Hoshina dude is something else. He might kill me. In case he does, we got the Biju bomb going, you know what I'm saying? Or the Kaiju bomb. I said Biju bomb, kind of the same thing. But we got the Kaiju bomb on deck. Now, if he didn't lose to Mina and Hoshina, then he would have just had this on deck anyway. And he's taken down like their strongest swordsman, and there's no reinforcements coming. Like, we've got this in the bag. It was more of like I'd rather need it and not have it than have it and not need it kind of thing. And like that kind of strategy inside of such a meathead villain, it does a lot, you know what I mean? And honestly, if he does go out right here, then it's like literally the exact same thing as Uvogan. It feels kind of like wasted potential, but he had such an amazing showing in their short life on the page that like you're kind of okay with it, but in the back of your mind you want more from this guy.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
And it really does. His entire character is like a comparison to Uvogan, just like off of what you said, and like how he's basically an intelligent meathead.
Yeah,
he doesn't. Really,
I've been calling him the Uvogan Kaiju like since he came out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly what he is. Because this whole time it was like, I want a good fight, I want a good fight, I want a good fight. But he also knows his mission. He knows how to accomplish it and what to do to accomplish it.
Right. He's proud and he's confident in his strength, but he's not arrogant about it to the point where he can't recognize the skills of his opponent. And even though he has every reason to think he's better than Hoshina because he's a kaiju and these are just humans, they don't have natural protections like they do, whatever kind of logic you can give to a giant monster that has so much more than we do, like he still knows these motherfuckers are not to be trifled with, you know what I mean? And that kind of self-awareness inside of such a meathead, power-hungry character is very fresh. And when you have characters like Uvogan, it kind of like spits in the face of that giant, bulky, dumb character trope, you know what I mean? And I love that he still feels like that. Like Uvogan and this kaiju obviously still feel like hulking giant meatheads, but there's just enough intellectual depth there to set them apart and make them really a sight to behold on the page, bro, because it's like we don't get a lot of characters like this. You know what I mean?
No, we really don't. If you see like a huge hulking character, they're usually just meathead. They never really add too much intellectual depth into
maybe they add compassion, maybe they make them a teddy bear outside of the battlefield or something like that, you know what I mean? Like, but that's the norm. You don't get actual combat intelligence inside of meathead fighters very often.
Like this was a war tactic and he displayed it perfectly.
This was Sun Tzu shit for real.
And I love how Hoshina's freaking out.
This is the widest his eyes have ever been.
Shit. What are we gonna do? I can't go 90% again. The captain just came down. You just overheated. We're fucked.
She's out of bullets too. She's out of bullets right now.
And then here we have with Kafka just running. We don't get a moment of dialogue where he's thinking about anything. We don't get any kind of prior reaction panel before this double spread. He's just bouncing towards what he knows he needs to do. It's very Deku. It's very, you know what I mean? Very My Hero Academia in that regard. His body just moved without thinking. Because there's a lot for him to think about. There is. It's not like Deku, where like, sure, you suck and you don't have any superpowers, so you're probably running in to get yourself killed, but like
him doing it won't get him in trouble.
Exactly. He has a lot more like Kafka has a lot more at stake by doing this. You know what I mean? And I mean, well, maybe he doesn't because he's powerful and he's not necessarily risking his life. Maybe he is risking his life. Who knows how dangerous this fucking thing is?
Right. Still, we don't know how powerful his bomb is going to be.
Either way, it feels very like these are the things that like I want to see in a character like Kafka. When I can draw a parallel to Deku in this way, it makes a lot of sense for this moment. This is probably the only thing that you could really give him that tethers him to Deku without it feeling too obvious. But like this little situation right here is like all of the good vibes you feel when you think about Deku in My Hero Academia while it's still being entirely Kaiju number 8. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I just love this spread for what it represents inside of Kafka's character. You know what I mean?
And just seeing Hoshina realize like, why is he moving so fast?
Yeah, dude, I loved that.
Like, dude, you're only at 1%, and it was just like, wait a second, why the fuck is he moving that quickly?
Right.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be able to go that fast.
And that's such a good way to build up the crescendo of the transformation because it's like he could have just ran right out and then fucking became a kaiju and got the reaction from everyone, but you want to have a subtle or as subtle of a build up towards that moment as you can by giving this internal monologue inside of Kafka where he realizes that his agility is a little bit higher than it should be. His running speed is a little bit higher than it should be. It does a lot for Hoshina's character. It shows us that he is obviously a captain that can perceive, you know, something like this after being in excruciating pain, probably being wildly exhausted. I don't even know how his eyes are open right now, to be honest with you. And you know what I mean? Like he's probably got all kinds of detriments to his senses and his perception, and he's still noticing something like this. So it kills a lot of birds with one stone when you give, you know, when you give a spotlight to Hoshina in regard to his adequacy as a captain while also building into the tension of realizing what Kafka is going to go do. It makes the scene that much more amazing when you get to the spread of Kafka in front of this fucking bro in kaiju form, fam.
Just amazing.
This is probably one of my favorite spreads in all of Kaiju 8 right now.
Easy.
My mans. Come on. Dude, look at the clouds.
Stance.
Look at the shot. Look at the perspective. The
clouds around the moon is so sick.
Come on, bro. And it feeds into that burst of power, you know, like aesthetic that it gives you of Kafka, you know, boom, puffing into the kaiju. There's a burst of energy around him going out in 360 degrees, which goes into the background of the clouds forming around him. It's so aesthetically perfect.
Right. I wonder if go for it.
Go ahead, Nick.
I was gonna say, like, I wonder is like the moon meant to symbolize that, like, it's like, you know, say sun and moon, right? Light and dark. Like he's using quote unquote evil energy, kaiju energy here. Ooh. But he's like, you know, so powerful, the moon so huge, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, either it's just a badass view or it's like a subtle, you know, like he's using evil energy for good kind of thing.
Yes, I like that.
But what I was going to say is, like, even going into the page right after, when you look at everybody's faces, when you look at Mina, when you look at Reno, when you look at Hoshina looks almost angry when he's looking at Kafka. Like, Reno's just surprised, Mina's surprised, but then you see these furrowed brows on Hoshina's face, like, what?
It's because he's probably fucking pissed that he didn't put this together before a reveal like this, because he's like, bro, this motherfucker is my subordinate. He's right underneath my nose. I'm a fucking captain, and I've been suspicious of this guy, you know what I mean, for some reason, and I couldn't put this together. He's kaiju number fucking 8.
And like, I just fought this guy.
Yeah, like I just fought this motherfucker. Yes, exactly. He's got to be fucking pissed. Like, he probably feels like incompetent.
Sure. I do wonder though, like, so if you go to page 15, right? So he's just run by on 1213. On page 15, he's kind of like jumping up some rubble and then going over a building on the middle panel.
Yep.
And then he's obviously back down on the ground in the transformation, but I wonder, like, can they see him? Are they directly looking at him, or are they kind of looking like, oh damn, like he just ran by really fast and I'm very confused about why he just ran by so fast? And then they say, like, oh, super giant kaiju reading, like, and are they replying to, like, the communicator in their ear? I'm just thinking, like, it's possible they don't even see him right now.
Yeah, I don't think they do. I think that I think that they're just putting it together based on what they just saw Kafka run towards and the speed that he ran towards it. And then he went out of view and then boom, super giant kaiju reading detected and they just put the rest together.
Yeah. Putting the rest together, I think, will happen. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have a dude run by super speed. He shouldn't be that fast. And then, wow, Kaiju number 8 is here. That's strange. It's like, I think definitely at the very least, Hoshina is going to, put this together.
Oh, wait, you're saying that only Hoshina is going to know that this is Kaiju number 8 is Kafka, and everyone else is just, oh my God, reacting to the super giant Kaiju reading detected.
Well, I do think anyone...
Oh, no, because he ran past... Mina,
exactly, and Shinomiya or whatever. Like, so I think obviously Shinomiya knows, but
so the only
Mina,
people that don't know are Mina, this glasses chick, and Hoshina.
Right, and glasses chick is at the base. She's over a radio right now, so she does not even. She's just noting that like her reading is showing that Kaiju number 8 is here.
Yeah, for sure.
But so Mina. This is I was gonna really say anything else. Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say I think this is also the highest reading that we've gotten for Kaiju 8, 9.8. Because I think when he first appeared, I think it was like 8.3 or 8.7 or something.
Yeah, I think
you're right about
that. Yeah. Whoa. So wait, this is gonna be Saitama versus the Meteor type shit.
Oh yeah.
Yo.
Shit.
Wait a minute.
I'm about to punch it.
So ready for this.
I am so ready for this. Wow. I don't think I have anything else for Kaiju 8 though this week.
No, just like a straight front to back. Like I feel like I don't know. I thought the chapter felt so short. I'm like, yep. Oh, so hype. Oh my God. It's like, what? It's over? Like,
only 3 pages of hype. Yeah. Like
When I was reading this chapter, I was like just waking up. I was like, okay, they won. Okay, they're gonna surprise bomb.
Yeah.
Kafka, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Fantastic.
Yeah, this is incredible chapter as always.
Yeah, this one was
Kaiju number 8, always hitting.
This one was different, man.
Straight gas.
Hell yeah.
All right, time for the final chapter of the evening, Undead Unluck, chapter 59, Tetsuzanko. Yo, so awesome. Ready for this. Oh my God.
Jinkai. Amazing. I love this series.
It's Shen hours, baby. What?
Shen hours.
Oh my
Continuing
God.
this flashback. I'm such a huge nerd for flashbacks and like
so much.
We get martial arts, kung fu flashbacks, dude.
Yes.
Come on, bro.
Yeah, I love the way that Tozuka just is sprinkling them in.
Yes.
Like every beginning of the chapter, you just get new information on Shin's past. It's just like boom, boom, boom. And it does not feel weird. It doesn't feel misplaced. It's perfect.
Because we've been waiting for it. Because you introduce a character like Shen, and you give him such a crazy personality, and you give him such an awesome ability, and you know he's tied into like Monkey King lore, and you know he's a martial artist, but we don't get the flashback. We just get him on the page in real time, and then you get all of these amazing moments of Shen in real time, but then you take him away for a couple arcs, and then you reintroduce him in the chapter 60 with his background story finally. Like, this is the one you wait to give, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he's the character that's so easy to build up interest around while remaining ambiguous. So it's so easy to make a mysterious Monkey King character, you know what I mean? Like that's easy mode. But then the backstory you give them when you eventually do it is as potent as we can expect Tozuka to deliver, and it's so brilliantly placed. It's like, I was just like, and Schnooty and you, Nick, probably too, we were just like, we need more Shen right now. And then Tozuka was like, word, I got you.
Don't worry about it. I got you. You just had to wait 50 chapters.
Right.
Yes, dude.
I love that his proposals, his 3 terms that he's asked for from Fung or whatever, like, I want to send my sister to school, give me a roof to sleep over, and give me food, you know what I mean? And he's like, besides that, like, fine, train me to be the fucking strongest guy ever. I don't care.
Right. So do we want to talk about, sorry, Schnooty, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, okay, I'm going to go. Do we want to, do we want to talk about, like, untruth, right? Because, like, I don't think we've ever actually talked about, like, this negator ability like in depth on this like show before, but like he's clearly got a different application of this technique depending on which eyes are closed and open, because in if you look at page 4, he does untruth with his right eye wide open and his left eye closed. But then you go to page 6 and he does untruth with his right eye closed and his left eye open.
Mm-hmm.
And well, obviously we know that he has untruth with both eyes open as well. So what is the difference?
Well,
because obviously this is visual storytelling, clearly.
Yeah.
Right.
I was talking about this with Kiko on Twitter not that long ago.
Okay.
And what I came to the conclusion was that like one eye pretty much negates your actions and the other negates your thought process.
Ooh.
Which is why like one you do like the opposite of what you're thinking, and then the other you just do the opposite of what you're doing in general.
Oh,
because like when you're fighting with martial arts, you have to think about which moves to use, which moves will be more effective,
and which moves your opponents are going to use, and which ones they use that are most effective against you.
So like an example could be that like there was a fight between Shen and Andy early on, right? Where like I think Andy was going to like kick right or like say punch right, and Shen made him just punch left, right? So that wasn't negating an action, it was negating a thought, right?
Yes.
Like I want to go in a direction. It's not the, but then in this chapter he used it against Feng, and instead of doing a roundhouse kick, he did a stomp down, right? So like that's like changing the action to like a different
the trajectory.
Right.
Like you've already started the action, but then I use untruth on you and you finish in a different position than you were intending. Whereas the other eye would be, you haven't even made an action yet. You have the intent to do something, and now you're going to do the opposite of that. So one catches you before you make an action, one catches you after you start an action.
That could be.
I would like that too. Because that would be the level of technical difference in like things that we see in Undead Unluck, because look at untruth versus unjustice. There's a lot of similarities there inside of those negator abilities, but they're also very different conceptually. Yeah. You know what I mean? But there's still a lot of similarities there. So if you look at a situation like, I look at you with my right eye, I negate your thoughts. I look at you with my left eye, I negate your movements. And that line being blurry makes a lot of sense based on the history of the series. So but there is a clear delineation somewhere that eventually Tozuka is going to provide us, the explanation for. But I love this right now.
Yeah. And just looking at like the what is it, page 5, just the more information we get about untruth, we're just like, Shin's ability untruth negates the truth behind the action of whoever he looks at. But it doesn't work on people who have the fast thought processes. So it doesn't work on people like it doesn't work on people like Juiz, doesn't work on people like Nico, doesn't work on Andy. So like, and he consciously knows which things to negate versus which things that aren't going to benefit him within a fight. And that's so cool. And that's exactly what you expect of a Sun Wukong character who's so deeply interwoven into like martial arts and Asian culture.
Now check this out, Snooty. Last week, me and Mello were here, just me and him, and we talked about how different it is that you have a Sun Wukong character who historically is known to be very immature, very jovial, very, playful, very dumb. And then obviously you can, assume from that they lack emotional intelligence since they're so immature. Like you see Sun Wukong in literally every depiction of him, and kind of the inside of at least the external introductory like phase of Shen's character. We saw a lot of Sun Wukong in him, obviously, but then you find out what his ability is, and you find out that his condition is that he has to be fond of you. And you think about that in a character like Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong is very easily irritated. He's very fickle. You know what I mean? So like the real Sun Wukong would never have untruth. The untruth requires a level of emotional intelligence that says you cannot, if you want your ability to be effective, you have to be fond of this person. That means that they are going to be talking shit to you. They're going to be saying all kinds of things to you to get under your skin, and you have to have the emotional intelligence to block that out and remain fond of this person.
Find a different way to find fondness in them.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Like that is a huge subversion to the Sun Wukong trope in such a very technical and unique to the story of Undead Unluck way. You know what I mean? And it feels so good that Shen is kind of a living representation of how different this series. I mean, I feel like all of the characters really represent how different of a story Undead Unluck is, but I feel like Shen has the most subversion in his character, and it just coincides with your expectations of this series don't mean anything when you first come in. You think you know anything about this series when you start it? From chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you are going to go down an avenue that you think you know the outcome of, and you're going to get infinite curveballs thrown at you. You know what I mean? And it makes the most sense inside of Shen's character because that he is a living representation of a trope that we understand so well. You know what I mean?
God, I love it so much. Tozuka's a genius.
Yes, sir.
I don't care what anybody says. Tozuka, Yoshikimu Tozuka is amazing at doing this kind of thing.
Yes.
This fight is just absolutely fantastic. The choreography, the dynamic, actions and impacts and everything, just absolutely fantastic.
And speaking on the choreography really quick, I think that this chapter pretty much solidifies that the martial arts that they're using is Baji Chuan, which is a Chinese martial arts, and they actually have this actually kind of specialize in like those back hits.
That's where it comes from. We see those in everything, and I never knew the discipline. What's it called? Baji Chuan? Snooty with the fucking kung fu shit. What the fuck? I was not ready to hear that, bro. Yes.
And what gave it away was when he said that's some Jin Jiao step in, and I was like, what even is that? So I Googled it, and it immediately says Baji Chuan. And I was like, oh, there we go.
Good shit, Snooty.
And there's actually a saying revolving around it that says like when Baji Chuan and Tai Chi come together, the world is at peace. So I'm thinking sometime in the future, Shin might learn Tai Chi.
Yo.
That's all I had to say though.
Damn.
That is such a thought-provoking addition to this conversation, bro. Now I'm about to be on Wikipedia all night looking into this Baji Chuan shit.
Wait a minute. I gotta look at something.
What you got?
Okay, well, this Hakai Zanko or whatever, right? The main attack of Feng or whatever, right? Yeah. 8 cycle mountain strike.
Yeah. I'm
looking this is it's probably not the same, but on the Wikipedia for Baji Chuan or whatever, right? It says that its full name is Kai Mun Baji Chuan, which means open gate 8 extremities fist. And it's so similar to this 8 cycle mountain strike, you know what I mean? 8 and 8. I mean that's already
that's another similarity.
I think the difference is just the person, right? So you have the master Feng, who probably either created this technique or it's a part of his lineage in some kind of way, calls it one thing, and then you have Shen, who naturally would just throw the Shen spin on it. And actually that makes a lot of sense because when we go back into this flashback, he's like, the Tetsu Zanko, and he's like, yep, it's the basic version of the old man's special move. So that's probably that's probably where the difference in the name comes from, to be honest with you.
Sure, or this other one could be totally unrelated in the Wikipedia article. But
with this, I kind of assume Shin's age because of how long ago that they were even alive. Where the teacher said, "Yeah, we don't have a name for this yet." So and Baji Chuan didn't exist until the early 1800s, late 1700s. That makes Shin at least 200 years old, I would say.
What? That'd be wild. I mean, it could.
If we are assuming that Tozuka is going to go by the actual origin of this discipline in our time and paste that into the
could just be
Undead Unluck, but it could just be a
reference,
a naming convention,
Yeah. But I only thought that because
that's cool though. Yeah.
I only thought that because of the anti-aging technology within the union. So I was like, you know what?
Shit.
Yes,
there's shit for that. God damn it.
Damn.
Yo, chill. I'm not going with it. I'm not supporting it yet. I'm just gonna make a statement now. I do not subscribe. Continue.
I wanted to talk about as we're going into this second round of the flashback, right, where he's teaching Mei the Tetsu Zanko. What did y'all think of this page turn from 15 to 16, right? Where he's like, I'm going to teach you this, and your big brother will always be with you. You'll have nothing to fear. Boom!
Yes.
And boom, the next page. Look, I did it. I put a hole in the mountain.
Yo. And then, now so this is crazy because we see that there's crazy potential inside of Mei. So then, obviously Shen realizes this. You're kidding me. ... Then time passes, and we go to a completely different situation where Shen's senpai is murdered by the master, right?
Yes.
And he's like, but Shen and Mei are siblings. You can't seriously be planning to make them kill each other, sir. Yes, because Mei is too fucking strong and has way too much potential. She's gonna fucking take this whole shit over if she learns martial arts from even Shen, who's a pupil. So yes, we need to get these motherfuckers out of here.
We need to get one of them out of here.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Because like, let's say Mei kills Shen. She's probably not going to continue to pursue, she's probably going to be demoralized from that, spirit broken, probably not as big of a threat as if Shen was still alive and teaching her martial arts. So that's a good plus for Feng. And if Shen kills Mei, then obviously the biggest threat is just off the table. I'm almost 100% positive that he is the reason why Shen kills Mei, because she's so strong. And she's a threat to his status quo to some degree.
I was more thinking. Sure. No, that definitely could be. I was more thinking in terms of the how do you make the ultimate fighter? Like it's like you put like the poisonous insects in the jar, right? And the one that comes out is the strongest. And so like when he's saying like, oh, so there were 2 dragons, right? Like, well, I want the stronger one, so make him fight, and then whoever wins, I'll just train that one.
That makes a lot more sense for like Chinese like kung fu and martial arts lore. You know what I mean? I guess my approach was a lot more, I don't know, I'll say American.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So that's what I'll do.
Because on page 17, where he's taken, I forget the dude's name. I just go back to the beginning of the chapter. Luo, yeah. He kills Luo and puts him in his bracelet, his artifact, right? Which can take the souls of people he's defeated or whatever.
That's right.
So he also could just be building up Shen and wanting also to build up Mei to have just more people in his bracelet. You know what I mean? Like strong fighters to be Pokemon or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good motivation too. But see, like this artifact allows so much for the motivation of Fang. You know what I mean? Like he's either driven by Under. I mean, we can assume that back then Under wasn't really a thing, and this was probably for the reason that you just said, trying to amass the best army of Game of Death fighters that he can inside of his artifact. I like that, but then it could also go the route of like political shit inside of whatever dojo system that goes on in this area of China or whatever. You know what I mean? There's a lot that you can do, because the artifact and the person and just the world of Undead Unluck says that his motivations could align in multiple areas, you know what I mean? And that's just such a cool situation to have in such a new and such a potent feeling antagonist, is to have ambiguity in their motivations at first, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because when you have so much setup in multiple directions, it makes it that much more compelling to see which route they take, you know what I mean?
And one thing I want to highlight about really close to the end of this chapter, like 17, 16, and the end of 15, is that back in chapter 16, when Shin used the 8-cycle mountain strike, you got these the sound effects, the sound effect kanji, and it was 8 of them to show off that like there were like 8 shockwaves that were hitting Victor.
No way.
And then once
you said chapter 16,
yeah. Son. And then once you really gotta count them, because I was like, I started counting like, oh, there's 8, and then
oh my god,
bam! And not only over that, but throughout this entire thing, every time that sound effect appears, then it's a new kind of like revelation, a new kind of shocking kind of factor. Like, boom, yeah, I learned it. Boom, damn, she's surpassing me. Boom, you can't kill them. Boom, I kill you. There were 2 dragons all along. Boom, the reveal of Feng, and then then you get like one, and then it's only 7 in this chapter.
The 8th is on page 11. The first one. The first time he taps him.
Oh, you're right.
That's a tone.
6, 7, 8. Oh shit! I'm on chapter 16 right now. Yo, chill.
So that one is just a tone, but that's the first strike. That's strike number 1, and then I can't even. This is so cool, dude. I did not even realize that there was 7 to make the total 8. So sick.
Oh, Schnooty. What a spot, bro. That's so epic, dude. Oh my god, bro.
Yo.
It's also kind of impressive that Shin's not lifting off like Victor did. He's just kind of like sliding back.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Wow.
And then now I don't think that Untruth is even going to work on Fung anymore because
he's pissed.
He's pissed.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But see, this is good though. This is good to show negators in situations where their negator abilities don't work.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do when your negator ability doesn't work? We know they have, or we can assume they have answers for when their negator abilities don't work. But we've only really seen Juiz kind of in that situation so far.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And we saw what happened. It was crazy for the stakes. It made everything feel a lot more intense. You know what I mean? So when you build up negator abilities to be so perfect and so true and so commanding and so, whatever, and then you build that up for so long, and you have all of these situations where their negator abilities are being outfoxed by planning and combat intelligence and strategy, and then to actually see their negator abilities be hard countered this late in the story, it adds a new layer of tension, I feel like, because it's like, these are supposed to be OP. Now they just don't have access. What do? You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy because we've seen so much history of that OP nature of their abilities being effective. And now it's just completely taken away. And it's like, I don't know what's going to happen now. And that uncertainty is obviously everything. You know what I mean? So, and then we see young Fang, which obviously coincides with the anti-aging technology that they have in the story. You know what I mean? And I just think it's so cool how, like, you can't even tell that this is Fang, but the dot.
No, you really can't.
The dot is there. And the haircut is similar.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He can look entirely different, which most people do from young age to old age. There's really very small, similarities that you can draw when it's really that different, big of a difference in age. But I just love how it's like, give him a very obvious trait, hairstyle and dot on the forehead. That's all we need. We can make him look whatever the fuck.
And now they gave him eyebrows.
We know it's him. Yeah, exactly. And he's got the fucking forked wishbone eyebrows that like kung fu masters always fucking have. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
right.
Little subtle shit like that you can keep on the character design and change literally everything else, and it'll still look like that character. You know what I mean? God diggity dang.
Now I'm trying to figure out, like, because his last bit of dialogue was, so have you surpassed me, my favorite pupil Shin? And we see this at the beginning of the chapter where he's just like, yeah, I just want you to become the strongest in the creation. So does he just want him to become the strongest in the creation to surpass him? Or like...
Right. Is he trying to steal his body?
Yeah,
what's the end goal here?
Is this like a Saitama, or like a, motherfucker that got too strong and he's bored with life kind of situation, looking for that final opponent kind of situation? Or and that goes back to the motivation ambiguity that I was talking about earlier. It's like, what does he really want? Because it can either be under related, it could be dojo related, it could be personally Shen and Feng related. You know what I mean? It could. There's a lot of things that it could be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because like I think it's kind of clear that like Feng was there when Shin's sister died. So is Shin trying to become strong just so he could beat this mother, or like? This, I really need to know.
I want to say, if for this to be really drastic, I want to say Fang manipulated Mei in a way that made her attack Shen with everything that she had, and all she has is the power. She doesn't have the skill. So Shen has the skill, and he takes her down because she's just a volatile glass cannon that isn't refined, and he has the skills to take her out before she becomes. I would assume that they're going to paint Mei up to be this huge, wild problem that Shen has to personally deal with. We already have the setup of her having astronomical strength. All you need to do is turn her into a puppet, and then you have reason for Shen to kill her. So I think that that's kind of what we're going to see. I don't know how it's going to happen. It's probably going to be... I doubt it'll just be a conversation, like persuasion, like there has to be some kind of magical element.
Yeah, like go fight your brother.
Yeah, it's not gonna just be like go take that strength and kill your brother with it, or go kill the village with it. Or it's not just gonna be like a suggestion. It's got to be some kind of magical element, but that's gonna be weird because he already has the artifact, which does something very specific that has a very specific condition tied to it. So how would you create Mei as a threat that Shen needs to kill with the pieces that we have on the board? A disguise.
Like how Feng is right now.
Shit.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he could be like, here's a fighter. You must fight this fighter.
Yeah.
It's your new task or whatever, right? And then Shen uses untruth against her. Then there was that scene. I forget what chapter it was. It was kind of recent, but not too far.
Yeah,
not too far.
The one with all the flashbacks in it, right?
Yeah, the flashback one, right? Yeah. And then there was like a cliff, right? And he was like at a cliff and like fuck, like, and you kind of got the impression that he forced someone to go off the cliff and die.
The way that I saw it looked like he was paying tribute to the person that had already died, because he was throwing some kind of I can't remember the actual name, effigy. Maybe it's not an effigy, but he was throwing some kind of tribute to, it seemed to me anyway, that he comes to this cliff every so often and throws something down to pay tribute to May. I didn't think that she had actually fallen, and he was like, no, I think he actually kills her with his fucking bare hands in a fist fight, and then she dies, and then he goes to that cliff to pay homage or to pay tribute every so often or something like that. I think that's the scene we saw.
Sure. It's been a while. I don't fully remember.
Right.
That makes some sense, because we see how deadly Shen's fists are in these last couple of chapters. Like he punched a man in half earlier this chapter. Like what?
Yeah, his hands are different, bro. But at the same time, it's like, how old was he when May died? Because the Shen that we see on that cliff in that scene, at least from what I remember, and I could obviously go back and look, seemed like he was a little bit older than the Shen that we see in this flashback with May. So if some time does pass before, or maybe he does kill her right then when he's younger, and then when we see Shen, it's after so many years of him going back to this cliff and paying tribute, and that's why he seems so much older. So that could probably be it too. But
one of the things I'm looking forward to is to get this interaction, because I think a lot of the flashbacks and a lot of the terrible events in the Negator's pasts were because of their ability, right? So Fuko accidentally killed her parents because of her ability. Rip accidentally probably killed his love because he did surgery on her, and then boom, she couldn't heal the wounds that he committed on her, right? So I feel like personally, Shen's killing of May, assuming he does kill May, has to be related to his ability, right? It has to be untruth somehow didn't do what he wanted it to do, you know what I mean? Or he used it in a way that he didn't expect it to happen, and then boom, May killed herself or something, you know what I mean? Or she was disguised. I totally, but that flashback scene could also just be saying they all have tragic pasts. It doesn't have to be directly related to their negator ability. It's just tragic. Everyone's tragic or whatever.
Yeah, everybody's backstory is tragic. In continuity with the series, it's more likely that the tragedy that happened in their life was directly linked to their negator ability, but it doesn't have to be.
Right.
Tozuka could literally just throw us a curveball he does almost every week.
Yeah. One thing I want to say inside of the choreography of Shen is that Tozuka is very aware of who is fighting and when. Because let's just take a look at the last double spread of the last chapter. They're clashing their Ruyi Jingu bangs together, in that last panel, and then it comes back to the fight coming out of the flashback in here, and their staffs are still clashing, and then in the time of them clashing, they've both ditched them at the same time and run at each other in close quarters combat, hand to hand, and that kind of choreography is very Chinese kung fu. Kind of choreography, you know what I mean? And then, but Tozuka also knows that when other characters are on the page that aren't martial artists, then he knows to just have it be body positions and big attacks. You know what I mean? The choreography is great no matter who's on the page, but you'll see more. It's very different when he understands the fighting styles of the characters involved, and he makes sure that despite all of the other crazy shit that's going on in his comic book, that the action has to be true to the characters that are there. And it can be really easy to just focus on the martial arts flashback sometimes, and then have the art inside of Shen's fight not really represent that at all times, just for the sake of time constraints and what you need to fit on the page, whatever. But Tozuka, amidst such a crazy story conceptually and character-wise and narratively, still makes sure to make everything pristine and perfect on the characters and their combat and their fighting styles, you know what I mean? Because it's very easy to forget that this is a battle manga sometimes, you know what I mean? There's a lot of fights that go on, but there's a lot of character work, there's a lot of narrative build-up, there's a lot of exposition also but like when it needs to be combat oriented and action oriented, it feels just like a Kengan Ashura sometimes. You know what I mean? It feels just like any of the other manga that we praise for meathead combat choreography, while having so much other shit happening conceptually in the background. It's really impressive, is what I'm saying, basically. That he's able to keep track of so many things and keep them inside of their lanes. He's always coloring inside of the lines in literally every aspect of his story, and that's really impressive considering how much is going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I only have one more thing I wanted to talk about in this chapter, and it's kind of a dumb question, I guess. So like page one.
Yeah.
Have we seen Mui in the flashbacks, and is this little girl with Mei Mui? Do we?
No. Yeah, Mui is not in the flashbacks.
You're talking about the girl with the spiral sunglasses.
Yeah, the spiral glasses.
And the bangs.
That's
bangs,
not
Mui. No.
Yeah,
but
I don't know who that is.
How do we know it's not Mui? Like Mui Mui has to be introduced in the story sometime, and like why? Who is this then?
So you want to know what? You want to know what makes sense? This is Mui, and this is who Mui was before Mei died, and then Mei dies, and Shen sees that he's lost a part of himself. And Mui tries her best to
fill that in.
To emulate that or to fill that in. I love that, dude. What the fuck?
Yeah, especially because she said like that's my friend, and like they were bullying her, and I tried to protect her. So clearly she has like
yes.
Like, so clearly it's like they had a link, or so maybe this really could be Mui, and she's just like dyed her hair and then doesn't open her eyes anymore. And she's
doesn't Mui have black hair anyway?
Yeah, Mui has black hair.
Yeah, Mui has black hair, like little
Well, she has black hair. This character in the page one, so like she didn't dye her hair, but I see what you mean. Yeah, like change your look or whatever.
Yes, dude,
that'd be so cool.
Oh my god, dude.
We'll see.
I love this. Wait, bro. Yes, I need this to be the truth. This is Mui right here with the spiral glasses. This is Mui.
Yeah.
And then Mei dies. Shen is depressed. Mui's like, I love you guys. I'm gonna be the new Mei, bro.
Right.
I'm gonna remind you of Mei as much as I can. I am so sympathetic of this situation. You guys held me down for so long throughout my geeky years. I owe you this. I need to be your secretary, assistant, whatever.
Right.
Son.
Especially if as Schnudi said, especially if Mui looked up to Mei because Mei defended her.
Yes.
So she would not only look up to Shen, but she would look up to Mui and want to emulate Mui. Not just in martial arts, but in appearance, right? And I think it'd all work really well if that was her.
My god! Thank you so much for going back to page one to say that.
Honestly, like I didn't even consider that.
Not at all. Yes. And you were like, "Is this Mui?" And me and Shudi were like, "No, that's not fucking Mui." Look at us.
Good shit.
Wow. Okay. Okay. What else? Do we have anything else? Because that was a banger to close the fucking conversation off on. To be honest.
Yeah, I don't have anything else. But
I don't think I have anything else.
I'm good. Let's leave it there.
Yeah. All right.
You fucking killed it, Nick. That was amazing.
That was great.
Amazing. I mean, yet again, just another fantastic Undead Unluck conversation as we tend to have on the Special Grade podcast. But I think that'll do it for this week's Special Grade podcast. Thank you all so much for listening. And again, thank you all so much for subscribing to the Patreon at this level of support and literally producing these special grade episodes. We could not do this without you.
Yes.
Greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Schnudi, it's been great having you on tonight. Welcome back. And thanks for being on, man.
This, man.
Yes, sir.
If you're not reading Undead Unluck, I'm coming to your house and I'm beating you with a Ryu Jingle Bang.
If this was YouTube, you might have an argument, but this is fucking special grade, and I'm pretty sure 99% of the people that are subscribed to this tier are here because of Undead Unluck. So.
Right.
You're right. They read Kaiju 8, or I'm gonna turn into a monster and beat you in your house.
Oh my god.
There we go.
But we'll have Shnudi's information in the description, so you can find him if you haven't already, subscribed to his channel and everything.
For sure.
And hit us all up in the Discord in the special grade chat, and we'll see you next time. Wrapping up, I'm your host Nickums,
and I'm Knox.
Peace, y'all.